If you have not attended a class of modern history before, my name is Professor Adoro Calabrius. Today we will be discussing the events that are collectively known as the Gods' Fall. Specifically, we'll be talking about their history, their emergence, and we'll have a brief introduction to their impact on the current time. Please take notes, because this subject will feature very prominently in your exams at the end of the semester, and it may well make for an excellent topic for your essay. Now, before we can truly begin, we must first discuss terminology. The events which we will be talking about in this lecture took place roughly between the years 1331 and 1333 of the Vatharian calendar. Indeed, that is the calendar which is named for Ilmo Vathayer, the same elf who, if you've paid attention in my lectures on the emergence of the Sea Peoples last semester, oversaw the peace negotiations between the Odrysian remnants and the Therosian dynasty. Now, these events, which are colloquially known as the Gods' Fall, are known among students of history to have the appropriate designation as the Vatharian Close. This name stems from the fact that the close's primary influence was the closing of a calendar period of relative stability that had lasted well over 1,000 years. As for the names Gods' Fall or Vatharian Close, these may be used interchangeably in this discussion, but understand that you will be expected to use the appropriate designation in any papers or other writing that you turn in with me, so please make a note of that. Now, contrary to popular belief, the skies did not suddenly darken and open up to spew demonic and otherworldly horrors from one day onto the next. In fact, it has been a difficult task for historians to determine the precise day and time at which these events began. The current consensus holds that the first signs of any activity that can be related to the Vatharian Close began to appear towards the end of the summer in the year 1331. That is, to us, 2 PNE, pre-New Era. The first signs of the fall were minor, and they were felt primarily in locations where magical transit, be that teleportation or planeswalking, was common. Arcanists of the time began reporting disturbances in their application of magic, and these disturbances could not be explained away by common mistakes in their weaving or ritual casting. Yet the exact details remain difficult to pinpoint, and are still in contention today. The first, and immediately the most important writing that we have on the matter, stems from a famed wizard, Palisha of Anayem, which I'm sure you've heard of. In her report to the Sovereign Academy of the time, she detailed extensive testing that she had done on a transdimensional rift, which had particular and peculiar metaphysical properties, and she expressed her concerns that the degradation of extraplanar boundaries was accelerating. Sadly, we're not aware of how the Academy viewed her report, or any others of the kind at the time, because 3 days after the report is dated, and very long before it arrived, the building, the grounds, and most of the Academy's senior members at the time were swallowed whole by an anomaly of magical nature, and were never seen again. This would be the only major incident that has been traced to the sovereignty at that time, and it is in fact the destruction of the Sovereign Academy of Hesparbad that currently serves as the unofficial start date of the Vatharian Close. This particular designation stems primarily from a desire to determine a particular starting point for this period, but we should note here that this interpretation is still hotly debated. If you're interested in reading opposing opinions, have a look at Kettering and Talbot's interpretations for an alternative view and for the possibility of several other starting dates. But, for the time being, the Academy's disappearance serves our purpose in determining a starting point for the Vatharian Close, because nobody contests that the severity of incidents began to escalate following what happened in Hesparbad. In just the 7 months following the disappearance of the Academy, the other major notable events of the time would occur. Starting, of course, with the disappearance of the Academy itself, but moving on to the Great Exile of the Elves, and then on to the Egress. Of course, we also have the ruin of Edeah to talk about, but this is a topic that we will not cover in this class. If you're interested in learning more, you're welcome to join Professor Wojan's class on the rise and fall of Edeah, or read their book, Ruminations in Exile. And, furthermore, of course, if you're interested in the general mechanics and theories involved in what happened during the close from a magical perspective, then I can highly recommend Arcanist Ojogna's class on experimental arcanomancy. You will not be disappointed. But for the purposes of our discussion, it is far more interesting to consider the nature and the implications of these impactful events of the time. And to do that, we must first discuss the progression of the Vatharian Close from a top-down perspective. Of course, the nations and powers of Edeah reacted. Initially, they reacted in 2 primary ways to the beginnings of the close. In those places where governing powers wielded absolute authority, the prevailing opinion was that this was a fluke. These places, such as the sovereignty, Adara, and even kingdoms like Brulia and Postizia, sought primarily to obfuscate matters and keep them from the general public in order to avoid a panic. But on the other side were the city-states. Across the north and south coasts of old Edeah, the rising power of independent city-states had long been a thorn in the side of the extant powers, and so they took a natural opposition to the concealment of information regarding the close. This conflict, in fact, threatened to spill out in several places into war. But by the time any such thing might have been arranged, the God's Fall had already escalated to the point of overwhelming any regional or even international animosities. As for the exact effects of the fall, these are still being mapped today. But the most common occurrences were the sudden disappearance or appearance of small groups of people, and later on, even places appearing or disappearing. Towns and villages, much more often than large cities, simply blinked out of existence. Some would reappear near to where they had been. Others, which were at the time thought lost, actually emerged on the other side of the continent. And still others have simply never been heard from again. And even those that did return, at times simply suffered catastrophic consequences, as the regions in which they appeared were simply not hospitable anymore. This brings us, of course, to another prominent and perhaps the most predominant effect of the close, the reshaping of the lands of Edeah. It's been speculated that what caused that reshaping was actually the weave itself beginning to unravel during the Vetherian close, and that it was the sudden flood of accessible magical energy which began to wreak havoc upon an already unstable plane. The land itself began to shift and move, and over the course of almost 2 years, it is estimated by researchers that nearly 70 to 80% of the landmass of our entire continent was changed in some way. Of course, our own republic lies at the heart of one of these massive changes. The Great Mid-Sea, which our city lies in, was created when, during the height of the cataclysm, people began to fear that the continent would break apart. In fact, it likely would have broken apart if not for a partnership between some of the greatest magical minds of the time. They were no longer guided or even restrained by the distant and tenuous oversight of the Odorlician Council of the Arcane, and so they came together and crafted a feat of magic which is still renowned but poorly understood today. Yet they accomplished their goal. The magic that they crafted stabilized the weave, and so created the Mid-Sea. Even today, we are still studying this spell because of the 174 Masters of the Arcane who participated, not a one walked away alive and well. Not even the greatest magics that clergy or druids had to offer could find a way to summon those spirits for questioning. Some now theorize that at the Oleum here, that they directly spent their souls in the casting of those spells, and so are indeed entirely gone from this world, beyond even the reach of the gods at their peak. But while 174 souls were saving the world from what is perhaps the worst that the Vetherian close had to offer, still many others suffered and died in lesser evil, and those evils were not that much lesser. Because while the land was breaking apart, chaos reigned supreme, as the boundaries between the planes also faded, to the point that crossing over sometimes became as simple as walking out of your door at the wrong time, in the wrong place. Especially doors and doorways of any kind seemed to become focal points for this crossing, likely based in the common belief and understanding of these things as being places of transition, and whether one escaped the devastation of the lands around them, and even avoided teleportation into the unknown entirely, there was no place in the world which could slip through the chaos unnoticed. Because where the walls between worlds grew thin, all of the terrible things that were normally hidden away could now simply and easily step into our world. And it's from this time that we hear tales of unlikely heroism from unlikely places, and also of gruesome and wicked desire for power, greed, and cruelty, as some stood aside and let hundreds or even thousands die and be slaughtered by monstrosities from beyond the veils, simply to further their own ambitions. Undoubtedly you've all heard of Cormin, the Butcher of Bayan Bay, or Sultara Lighthelm in the Orphanage, or any other dozen tales from that time. I can assure you, whether glorious or terrible, there is more truth in them than you can possibly imagine. Thankfully, there is no small amount of courage in this world, and courage prevailed in the end, because though the very foundations of our civilization stood on the verge of the abyss, those foundations did not crumble and fade away. Even in Postitia's darkest days, when a daily report of the dead and missing would number near 100, and sometimes more, mortal kind persevered. We persevered. And so it was that eventually, when the anomalous events caused by the close began to lessen in frequency, we did not stand at the start of something entirely new, but instead we stood at the start of a period of rebuilding. Of course, so much had changed that in those early days it was impossible to oversee it in its totality. Officially, we now determine the end of the Vitherian close, and thus the start of our new era calendar, to be when the final Odrysian city, Ancalon, then already long abandoned by the elves, fell from the sky. Much of the first years following Ancalon's fall was spent in a fearful sprint by the new and emerging powers of the world. This was so because, with the influence of governments reduced, often reduced only to the cities in which they were headquartered, and the map of the world completely changed, nearly everyone that was able to started looking outwards for new boundaries and new borders. So they explored and mapped a new world, but they did so fearfully, because though reduced, God's Fall incidents were still occurring on smaller scales across the world. In fact, even today, although rare, we still hear a report once a year, or perhaps even more often, that several people will suddenly disappear, or that a portal that was meant to go to one place suddenly connects to an entirely different one, or ceases to function entirely. The only exception seems to have been the sovereignty, the Great West, which was, even to this day, spared miraculously the worst of the close after the fall of the Academy. Yet they've not fared much better than us, because in losing their sovereign, the entire region was plunged into a civil war, which has lasted almost 50 years. It's in fact theorized by some, even at this university, that the sovereign's disappearance in the beginning of the close must be linked somehow with the safety of the region. Yet we've been unable to substantiate any theories or any claims, because the warlords who now rule in the West are definitely not any more forthcoming with their scholarly pursuits than the sovereignty was in its heyday. In fact, the only reason we possess a copy of Palish's report and several other writings is due to refugees who arrived perhaps 20 years ago with stolen treasure and a wealth of knowledge from the Masquet archive of the Mugamari. Nevertheless, those first years of the new era were marked by a tension unlike the world had ever seen. Continuity of a life that resembled, at least to some extent, what we had known before, became a driving force for many of the decisions and actions that were taken in those early days. Yet the shattering of so many paradigms made change impossible to avoid. Kings and queens were lost, rulers and religious leaders were no longer there. For example, in the kingdom of Brulia, we saw the establishment of a new class of heroic nobility. In Ostratia, our neighbours to the east, they turned to military traditions, which they had always held dear but now refined into a way of life in order to wield them to ward off any threat. And in the south, chaos ruled for longer than anywhere else, until Isilburg gave rise to Yana and her crusade. And of course, in our own republic, the people who were left realized that old-fashioned notions of inherited power made little sense in a place where anyone was able to become wealthier and more powerful than a nobleman, as long as they had a good sense of business. This time of change is what we call the egress, the leaving behind of the paradigms of the old world and emerging into the new. Now, we will view these shifts through the lens of our budding republic in the coming lectures, and through it we will come to understand the new era that we live in. For today, that brings us to the end of our lecture. These new paradigms will feature prominently in our lectures to come, so if you feel up to it, get ahead of your assigned reading for the coming weeks, and they will make a lot more sense. Thank you all for your attention. Next week we will discuss the Great Exile, the Elves' disappearance and the fall of the Odrysian kingdoms, and its impact on our world then and today. So please make sure to read chapters 13 and 14 of Odryalis, Ancient's Fall, for next week. And don't forget that in 2 weeks you will have a special guest lecture by Arcanist Sordenbrand of the Assembly. She will speak on the emergence of the unsouled during the God's Fall, which I'm sure is of interest to many of you. But for now, thank you all, and you're dismissed. Yes, counting is very hard, thank you, but we are now live. And hello everyone, welcome to the next episode of Tales of Edeah. We are very excited to be here, and today you will see that we are joined by one of my very good friends, Chansey. She will be playing a character in the upcoming session, and she will be joining us regularly, so please extend the warmest welcomes. We have already, but if you are watching. In any case, we're going to dive right in, because we've already been hanging out for a while, and I think these people are getting sick of me if I don't start telling a story soon. Stop nodding! That's not nice, you know?
Yeah.
Alright, so. Postizia, March 14th, year 51 of the new era. Excitement runs through the narrow halls and the open offices of the Solidariat. Almost 200 of Postitia's lawmakers, officials, and most important, are gathered throughout the Honorable Court, one of the Solidariat's many courts. They feed upon the rumors that are now spreading like wildfire. Some speak of Count Devon's horrible mismanagement of funds of a commission, and how he has spent the Republic's coin on prostitutes and alcohol. Others now speak with judgment, or with indignance, of apparently an arrest made in the restricted parts of the building tonight, where apparently a freelancer has been arrested at the behest of a foreign power. Still others whisper of the disgrace of one Atticus Hope of the peace delegation, and how the Republic should never consider sending a drunk like that on a mission so important. And a few, only a few, have begun to whisper about an attack at Lord Storm's manor, and speculate as to who might have arranged such a thing to attack a young lord and lady in their own home. As Tani, Barnack, and Turnock re-emerge into the Honourable Court, eyes uncomfortably follow them, no matter where they go, whether in the narrow but tall halls or in the court itself. You are never unwatched. In the meantime, Jean-Jacques, invisible, sneaks through the darkened halls and past locked and unlocked offices. These halls are notably cooler and darker than anything closer to the Honourable Court, and clearly the spell that warms that place has not been extended to cover the entire Solidariat. Along the way, he's forced to stop several times in order to avoid the attention of the guards walking the hallways, but they're on low alert, expecting to find nothing. After some tense minutes, Jean-Jacques makes his way into the Foreign Affairs office, and he might be relieved to find yet another door unlocked. Now, while Jean-Jacques is sneaking, and we're going to start with him, but I just want to put to the rest of you, Barnack, Tani, and Turnock, please think about what you want to be doing and who you want to be talking to, because we will be coming to you next. So, Jean-Jacques, you enter the Foreign Affairs office. It's a sort of open office space with several desks spread out, and the one that belongs, according to a small plaque on the front, to Vista Nendorius, sits in a corner, away from the windows, which, if you briefly look through them, you can see the icy cold river spread before you like a sea of oily blackness. The desk itself is a simple one, with several bound stacks of paper and folders on the desk, and desk drawers to either side. The only thing of note is a small oil lamp, which is currently not lit, which sits on the surface. What do you wish to do?
Is it bright enough for me to, with my dark vision, just be able to see around and read?
See clearly enough.
All right, so I definitely want to go through the desk, but before I do, I know he's invisible and alone, so he takes a minute to just kind of process what happened in the courtyard last episode. So not with Core, but the decision that he had made. So he kind of just stands there, breathing heavily, both arms on the table, and kind of shivering, sweat dropping from his brow, and just kind of has a manic look in his eyes for just a minute before a shadow passes over his face and it's all back to normal again. And then I go and look through the table. I specifically remember what Vanity, I believe, was it, right?
Yes.
Said about the person receiving gifts. So I'll also investigate that. But I'm looking for any signs of any tie to Lord Sordenbrand, or any persons who might have in any way indicated that this person was involved.
Well, in that case, please go ahead and make an investigation check upon the desk.
That is a 16. No, 14. Sorry.
Okay. 14. Okay.
Yes.
In that case, as you start kind of rifling through, the first thing that you notice is that standing kind of hidden underneath the desk, so that, it's not open to just anybody who walks into the office, you see a small basket indeed, which is nicely decorated. It seems to have some stuffing in it as well, but within it, the only thing that you find is an unopened bottle of Althasian gin, which is quite an expensive type of liquor, and a very nice and fine bottle that stands there. And clearly, it seems to have been decorated with some kind of treats of some kind, which have already been consumed. Beyond that, as you start to look through the desk, you don't find anything necessarily immediately of note. You do spot several letters that are in one of the drawers, and you see correspondences with several foreign dignitaries, but most of them are about the situation in the kingdom of Brulia to the south. And apparently things are quote-unquote escalating, and this may be a problem for the peace negotiations that the Republic will be entering into this year. So there seems to be some hubbub around the Foreign Affairs Office that the peace negotiations might become troublesome. And I would say that even just looking at very briefly, without really investigating any of the other desks, there are more correspondences throughout that indicate, various concerns or whatever on other desks in this office regarding the same topic.
And no mention of Lord Sordenbrand in any of these.
No, not in any of those. I apologize. I forgot to mention there is a thank you note on the that's kind of stuffed into the stuffing of the gift basket, and in the thank you note it just says thank you for your hard work, and it is signed with a very flourished B. That's it. You don't recognize the handwriting.
All right, and no other notes from the gifts, or is this the only?
This
I guess
is the
it's
only
only gift.
visible gift that you see at the moment. Presumably the others have been taken
B.
home.
B. Foreign Affairs Office. ¿Dónde estás? Budget Committee. Sorry, I'm just trying to find it. Grand Pensionary, Judicial and Ethical Merchant, Prince of Brulia. Prince of Brulia? Nope.
No, in the canonical guest list, there is no specific...
there is no Foreign Affairs Office, is there?
Various people work there, but none of them are necessarily important enough.
Gotcha.
They're mostly, clerks and things like that.
Okay. I had already ruled out one other person, right? Or we had already ruled out one other person. Turnock did.
Turnock, but I don't know if... Because you haven't actually emerged yet.
Yeah, we haven't touched base.
So you haven't touched
right.
base, so you haven't actually checked that yet.
Okay. So, did we switch to the map? We haven't switched to the map, but let me open it up on my end. So I'm in the Foreign Affairs Office now. If I remember, to the west there was... Where is it? The west side of Pensionaries Court, Bilmont Sonorius. Oh no, never mind.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it is Bilmont Sonorius. Yeah.
The 3 places that were marked for you to investigate were indeed circled on the map.
Okay. Let me see one thing. I don't think that I really have anything useful to do here. Counter spell. Well, yeah, I really need more spy spells.
Of course you do.
I will do one more pass if you'll allow it, and try to look for any hidden compartments or any fake drawers, things like that.
Sure. Go ahead and make an additional investigation check in that case.
Okay, that is 17.
All right. You start, every drawer gets pulled out, and you start tapping at it, and you start listening for any indicators that there might be anything hidden inside of it. You start to lose hope as you go through each one. But then, the second to last one on the right, suddenly you do hear the characteristic kind of hollowness of something where it should be a solid floorboard, but instead there's some room there. So just 1 second before we continue, Bruno told me that he was starting to feel quite unwell all of a sudden, so he might have had to drop out. So I'm just going to fix this here on our end as much as I can. Apologies to our viewers, and of course we hope that Bruno feels better soon. 1 second here.
Also, Kevin, you might be a bit quieter than Nicola. Like.
Okay, yeah, I had set myself just slightly lower, but.
Thanks, Runecape.
Okay. Hopefully I'm a bit lower now, and also
No, it's on
I need
my
to speak
end.
to
I
you.
had myself set lower on the stream.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, my mic's been giving me a lot of trouble recently, so.
All right, so let me just quickly move the two of you around. There we go. Nicola, your particular...
You're suddenly Jean-Jacques.
Yeah.
What?
Because the cams moved around.
Right.
Here we go. And we are good again. Apologies.
Okay. Right, so noticing that, I will first inspect it for any traps. So anything, any tripwires or anything that might either harm me or, the content if I were to try and, manipulate this.
Okay.
I have thieves' tools and proficiency with them.
Okay, then go ahead and
But
roll a
just-
dexterity check with proficiency.
Okay, that is a 15. Yes, 15.
Okay. Aside from a complex mechanism mainly designed to simply hide it very well, like it's beautifully made, but kind of expected as well in a place like this where secrets are probably dime a dozen. That this thing just fits in perfectly, and it actually takes you most of that time investigating with your thieves tools just to see where the opening is. You start to think maybe it's not actually the double, bottom that you expected until finally it pops loose. I will say, because of the delicacy of the mechanism, and it was a 15, it kind of pops, and you get the impression that there's like a little tiny mechanical bit that breaks a little bit. So you're like, oh shit. But you do manage to open it up. As you do, you uncover the following. You find several spell scrolls, and these spell scrolls are one for suggestion, another for suggestion, one for mind blank, and one for modify memory.
Okay. So 2 times suggestion.
Yep.
1 mind blank.
Yep.
And 1 modify memory.
And below all of those, you find one that's been expended, which has no further markings on it to identify what the spell was.
Interesting. And outside of the spell scrolls, there are no other type, documents or things like that.
No, this seems to be specifically to have been about hiding these particular items.
All right. So I've left traces of me being there.
Yes. Of someone being there at the very least.
Yeah, of course, right. I will leave everything as is, so I will return those spell scrolls. Wait, will I? I mean, it would be good to have them.
That's up to you.
I will leave them as is.
Okay.
And I will carefully try to scratch it up a little bit further, so it seemed like I tried to open it, but ultimately failed.
Okay.
Of course, that will be hopefully the impression that they get. Right, so I'll just kind of make scratches around that area that would point to me trying to wedge something in, but so as not to appear that I've actually opened it.
Then I would like you to roll an additional check with the Thieves' Tools and a history check.
Okay. I'll roll the...
Just to kind of see how...
Tools first.
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
That is a natural 20, with a 24 total.
24,
and history... It's another natural 20.
Wow.
I swear to God, for 26, I can take a picture. If you
No, I
want me
believe
to.
you. That's just
Yeah.
incredibly
Holy
impressive.
shit. Nice for after a week that I had. Yes,
Yeah.
thank you very much.
All right.
The
So
26 total.
there is absolutely no question. In fact, when you put it back and you start to push the thing, and you're struck by how incredibly well you've
Yeah.
made this look, you would believe it. Like, there's literally
Nice.
no other way to interpret what this looks like. All right,
Yeah.
so you push it
Awesome.
closed, and what
I
do you
will
do next?
move some things around so that it's obvious that somebody was there, and I will also steal the gin.
Okay. Okay, so you still.
I mean, I just want the gin. Yeah, that's the gin I just want.
Okay.
The rest, and it's also, hopefully this is what they will see: somebody pettiness, stealing their gin, and leaving the rest
Okay.
alone.
Okay, interesting. So let me make note of that. And you can add an Althasian gin to your inventory.
Althasian gin. Yes.
All right.
A-S?
Ulthasian.
Oh, Althasian. Gotcha. Okay. I was like, how is this Ostrozia? What the fuck? I get it now.
No. All right. So, by the way, between everything that happened, the time that you spent in the courtyard, or in the courtroom, rather, and of course the sneaking around beforehand, you are starting to get close to the end of your invisibility spell.
I will recast it.
All right.
Just in case, right away. So
Okay.
at second level again.
Okay. So you make sure to remain invisible.
Yeah.
And
doing my due diligence, I'll go to the first because it's on the way there to the office where Turnock was. So I think we can just skip that one in terms of like.
Yeah. I think you probably, because Turnock did try to put it back the way that it was, but I think to a trained eye, especially you do notice that certain things have been opened and looked through. You repeat the same steps and it doesn't necessarily strike you as.
I dropped the gin off in the bag of holding.
Okay.
On my way there.
All right, so you're on your way to Sonorius's office. Let's briefly move over to Tani and Barnack in this case, and Turnock with them. What are you guys going to get up to?
Well, we need to question some people, I believe, and find out the truth about the attacks. And we have no idea how to do that.
Well, you've already asked Elena, right? From what I saw before. I'm assuming that last episode maybe Tani was trying to be conspicuous, looking at the sus people that Lord Fennec Storm told us about, maybe see who they were talking to, if they were looking over at Lord Fennec and keeping quiet generally. So I could have seen that they did go to Elena and.
Absolutely.
DM question.
Yes.
You said that that rumors were slowly starting to form about an attack on Lord Storm.
That's right.
Okay. Is there anyone that was made suspicious to us by Lord Storm himself in the vicinity of us anywhere? Is there anyone?
I mean,
from that place?
it's a large and moving group of people, so people are moving in and out of your quote unquote vicinity constantly. But most of them are there. In fact, after you returned about 5 minutes later, everyone from the courtroom also returned to the party. They can't be absent for too long, so they returned quite swiftly.
So Mr. Strauss is there too.
Mr. Strauss is there, the Grand Pensionary, the Stedholder, Robert Mortimer, aka the very serious-faced version of your former friend Appy.
Oh yeah, not going close to that one. No.
Okay.
Okay, and so all of these people are here as well. How do we pronounce it? E-A-A-E-K?
Sorry? Oh, Eak.
Eak. Okay,
yes.
Eak. Philip Grundig. Tani, who should we start with? And you, Tarnok? I'm not really sure who we should start with. We can just approach someone and say, like, make it weird and say, like, oh, did you hear about someone attacking Lord Storm? And then Tani, you can, like, just try to see if they're lying or not. You're very good at that, right? You can read people pretty well.
Like, ask him directly or talk
Yeah,
about
well,
it in
no,
their vicinity?
We can ask them indirectly, but we can see if they're surprised or if they knew anything about it. Yeah, I think
Okay.
that's a good plan. I think that's going to end
See if
pretty well.
see if their eyes look a certain way. Yeah. I know how
Yeah.
to do that.
Yeah, well, that's your you understand people. I understand situations and these things around us. Yeah, let's see. So who's closest to us? Someone that looks either easily approachable, so not like in a group of 20 people, or just closest to us if all of them are busy already.
Okay, let me have a look here.
It's Edeah, Esme Bonneville, Philip Grundig, Honorable Clementine Selman, Jean-Pierre, and Lady Elena.
I would say that right now the most approachable looking person is the Honorable Clementine Selman, who was also in the court with you earlier. But she is currently on her way back from having retrieved a drink, and you can see that she's kind of not necessarily talking to herself, but she is just kind of lost in her thoughts, and she's walking around greeting a few people, but not necessarily engaging in any lengthy conversations that would make it difficult to engage with.
Okay, Dani, Tarnok, let's approach this Honorable Clementine Selman. It's a she, right?
Clementine. It is, yes.
Yeah.
I would probably be misrepresenting Tarnok if I didn't at least have him say something like, please don't embarrass us, and please walk away if I ask you to.
We never embarrass each other, Tarnok, don't worry. But as I said, this is not my forte, so I will just ask questions and then bolt out of there. Also, remember that we have a plan B. We have papers.
Don't share the papers.
No, not sharing them. Of course we wouldn't share them. We would just
leave them somewhere
quietly.
Not now, shakes though. Head.
Yeah, well, it's fine. So let's approach her. And Tani, you try to just gauge if she's lying. She looks like she's talking to herself, so that's a bit weird. Do I have a drink? Is there like anyone passing by handing drinks?
Easily enough. I mean, as soon as somebody notices that you're, asking, immediately like two servers come over, one sees the other and just waves them away and presents you with like a small offering of various beverages, wine, scotch, brandy, that sort of thing.
Yeah, I'll take scotch.
Right.
Thank you.
I'll take some wine and grab it like both hands and try to look lady like.
Let's go. Tarnok, you should also talk. I'm not, as I said, I don't know how to talk very well. You just keep me grounded. That's good. That's a good plan. That's a good plan. So we'll approach Honorable Lady Clementine.
The Honorable Selman, all right. She notices your approaching, and she stops, and she's kind of got like her arms folded a little bit, and she's holding up the glass like so, and she's just kind of swirling it, and was walking around and thinking and taking a sip here and there, and she notices you, and she inclines her head before really realizing who's approaching, because of course she recognizes you from earlier. And you can see a slight frown on her. She has a very narrow face, very, very strict sort of school teacher vibe to her. And as you approach, you realize also that she's quite tall. She probably is as tall as Tarnok.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Um, I couldn't help but notice that you were in the proceedings a few minutes ago.
She looks around a little bit like someone looking for help. And then looks
Just
back
a
to
second.
you.
Wasn't she the prosecutor?
She was.
Yeah.
Shh. Barnack forgot. But she doesn't seem to
drunk.
find the help that she needs to escape this conversation easily. So she kind of squares up with you, Barnack, a little bit more. Looks over the other two only very briefly. She says, yes, that was a regrettable bit of business, but we must all pay for our actions one day.
Oh, while my friend was taken, I do agree that we must all pay for our actions, and I just wanted to make sure that there were no hard feelings between any of us here.
I suspect it would be you who has the hard feelings.
Oh, no, not at all. I would like to make a toast to justice.
It seems... She bites back some comment or another, and she will raise the glass, but you can see that she's not very much convinced by that particular philosophy in this context. So the two of you have this really awkward kind of toast. Turnock didn't take anything to drink because he specifically doesn't want to be drinking in this situation. And I suppose Tani might have also raised her glass. So it's this really awkward kind of toast where none of the people involved really seem to be on the same page. But the floor is yours, Barnack.
But I have two questions for you, if I may, Honorable Lady Clementine Selman.
Honorable is the title rather than lady. I am not nobility.
Honorable. Sorry, it is honorable. But my first question is, what did you personally think of my other friend here? I point to Tarnock.
Before tonight I had not heard any of your names and did not form any opinions to begin with.
Fair enough.
Perhaps I will ask a question back. What is it that you are hoping to achieve here, Mr. Stoneheart, if I remember correctly?
You do. Do you mean talking to you, or
Yes.
do you mean being here in general?
You have clearly come to me with a purpose, and
I did.
I am not so blind to
did.
ignore it, nor do I play the games that my colleagues like to play as willingly. So if we do not need to, then let us not.
That is pretty okay, because I don't know how to play them either, as you probably can see that.
Yes, it's a little bit awkward, but that's okay.
I wanted to ask you, have you heard about the attack on Lord Storm's... Well,
Lord Storm was
Place.
attacked.
yes. Well, Lord Storm was attacked because of, as you said, political reasons.
I have not heard this news. I suppose it must have been one of the rumors that are going around, but I have, as you well know, not been out here for very long. But
And
Make an
you
insight
being in the ethical committee, who is, in your mind, the biggest problem in this city?
Tani, go ahead and make the insight check. She purses her lips in response to that question, Barnack.
That's a 7, but I do believe I have an inspiration point.
I believe
Can
so.
use that.
Make sure to
Yeah,
track
you
those
do.
correctly, since you can
Yeah.
have it to 3.
Okay, that's better. 13.
13. As far as you can tell, she had indeed not heard of any attacks on Lord Storm. But at the question that Barnack just posed, she seems almost indignant to be asked. Mr. Stoneheart, we are neither friends nor allies, nor do I truly know your role in this place beyond frankly, I don't know. So sharing any information of that kind would not only be unprofessional, it might be a death sentence to my career. Perhaps you would like to choose a question that would be more suitable for drinking conversation at a celebration.
I look around. This time I'm looking around for help,
Okay.
as she was. Another question then. Who do you think would have attacked Lord Storm? And this is not me asking you as someone from the ethical committee, just your personal opinion.
Okay.
As two people at a party, drinking, and having connections with justice.
She frowns again, and you realize that despite her offer to forego the games, she hadn't expected anything of this sort of level of honesty, and you've certainly taken her aback. Before we continue, Simon, thank you so much for the gift subs. That's 5 subs, including Chansey and Kira getting subs. So congratulations. Thank you so much. But yeah, she's definitely taken aback by this very direct line of questioning. And you can see that you've sort of put her on the back foot a little bit. She looks around more to see if anybody's listening in right now, and then beckons you over so that you guys can stand a little more to the side, a little more in the shadows, a little less in the spotlight. And she'll think for a moment, and then come back with another question to you instead. And she'll say, Mr. Stoneheart, I don't know what you are implying, but is this why you have come here tonight? Because I can advise you that questioning members of this assembly in this manner is that it's actual suicide. You should be very careful who you speak to in this manner. Now, I have some sympathy for you after what I have witnessed tonight, but that sympathy only goes so far. As for any attacks on any members of our Grand Assembly, I have no opinions because, as far as I know, this does not happen, as we are all respectable people. And what happens in the shadows should be brought to light. So I know nothing, and I suspect no one. But if you find out anything, then please let me know. And I will ensure that, as you say, justice is found. Do you understand me?
I do.
Good.
I think I do.
Then, unless you have anything more pertinent to ask, I will offer you this one opportunity. But otherwise, we should cut our conversation short here.
I have a personal question then, but you might not know anything about this. Well, it's more of a piece of advice I would need. How does one approach someone as powerful as Mr. Johann Strauss?
For what purpose?
Well, hopefully a few words exchanged. Nothing else?
She looks over at the other two, questioningly perhaps, but constantly judging all three of you now. And then she looks back to you, Barnack, and she said, would those questions be as offensive as the ones that you have posed to me?
I don't know. Probably, but I can try to sugarcoat them a bit.
I will advise you to find someone with a silver tongue to ask the questions for you instead.
Silver tongue.
For one, Mr. Strauss plays this game better than most. And for another, he will not see you unless you have a proper reason to see him. And asking a few questions is not that.
Well, thank you for the advice.
Mind
That
yourself,
was
Mr. Stoneheart. You
quite
are in a very
refreshing.
dangerous arena. I know these people do not look like they could do much harm, but they can decide your entire fate if you step on the wrong toes.
Don't like this at all.
Take care. And she starts to wander off.
You as well. And I'll just gulp the rest of it. The rest of
Okay.
it.
Alright.
Tani? Tarnak?
Well, it was good we approached her first.
Yes. We learned that she might not be the one we are looking for.
Yeah.
And we also learned that she might be a potential ally.
She didn't look nervous. She didn't look like she was, keeping something to herself. And I did like what she said. Like, anything that
need to
happens in the
find
shadows should be brought to light. That was poetic.
That was very good, yes. Bringing something from the... Oh, I shouldn't yell. Bringing something
Because
from
shadows
the
and
shadows.
light, yes.
Yes. And we need to find someone with a silver tongue.
I wonder what that would look like.
I don't even know if
Would it
they
be
could eat,
heavy?
probably. I don't know, but we'll... Okay, so new plan. Just make sure to look at people's tongues while they talk. That is also very important.
I love you guys.
Okay, intermission.
I love you guys so much. I wonder what that would look like. Would it be heavier?
Because it's made of silver, right?
Yeah.
Would it be just a coating? Okay, I'll stop.
Alright.
Okay, in character. She's completely
So-
serious.
So, I don't know. I'm not really good at this questioning, but if we find Jean-Jacques, he could do this probably much better than we could, but he's still...
Inside
Is
doing
he-
those
Is he
invisible.
invisible? I'll swat my
Well,
hand
that was
through
the
the air
plan,
around me
but
a bit.
then Elena said that wouldn't be possible, so I wonder.
Yeah, he's not here.
You do accidentally slap someone in passing a little bit.
Apologies. The alcohol is very good.
Yeah, it is. And he just goes back and he pats you on the head and then walks on.
Oh, got a pat on the head. So let's wait. Maybe we should wait for Jean-Jacques. What do you think, Tani? He can talk pretty well with these
Yeah.
weirdos.
Maybe we should have listened in to the lessons he was giving to
Yeah.
Vanity.
Wait, I have an idea. We can just listen in on people. Try to hear what they're saying, and we can just casually mention attack on Lord Storm. Like, oh, we can get these waiters here to just like send messages for us. So we can just tell one waiter to bring a drink to someone else and mention Lord Storm was attacked, and then we can see how they act.
Okay.
And if they act nervous, then
And then we
it could have been
approach
the
them.
person.
Yeah. Perfect. Perfect. That is our plan then. Let's go get more booze. Let's wait for some waiters and let's listen in on people. I'll listen in on ARK.
Okay.
You can listen in on who's left. Oh, Danny, remember that Jean-Pierre really liked you when we visited him?
Did he?
I think he did. Yeah, he didn't want to talk to me almost at all, which is really weird. But why don't you go talk to him before Jean-Jacques returns?
You see, she furrowed her brows a little. She was looking a little distracted for a second there. But she says nothing about that, and she like snaps herself back, and okay. Well, if you say he liked me,
Well,
maybe I
looked
did.
like that.
Maybe I did play the part of a lady well. So that's good.
Especially that exit from the carriage. Yes.
Oh yeah. That was calculated.
Yeah. So yeah, you can go maybe talk to him, and I'll listen in on Edeah, and Tarnok will probably be keeping an eye on me because he doesn't trust my words
I don't.
or actions.
All right. So with those plans made, and please do think about, how you might want to follow up. We'll get to that in a minute.
I think Chansey disconnected.
Oh no. That is unfortunate.
Her internet might have.
And she's back.
Yeah.
And she's back. Yeah, that was
Let me
internet.
just move everyone to the correct places again. Oop. Sorry, guys. Always a bit of a mess moving the webcams, especially when I lose one. Oh, there we go. I lost Barnack. It's like, where is he? All right. Welcome back, Chansey, I hope. In any case, let's move on to Jean-Jacques again, as he sneaks into through the Nowidian house, rather, in order to get to Mr. Bill Montanorius' office. And
Just one thing.
Yes.
Before, I believe that I said it, but I just can't remember. I took the Lekispor out of the haversack, right?
Okay.
When I was there with, I believe so, right? When I was
think
there
so,
with Vanity, but I was dropping off the gin, so in case I didn't, I do take it this time.
Okay, good to know. Oh, sorry, before we continue, Tani, did you get my message on Discord?
Yep, that's why she furrowed her brows.
Perfect. Jean-Jacques, so you make it back to first the Lady Elena's office. You exchange the items that you want to exchange. You check the office of Tovet on the way. Find nothing of interest, and then you make your way to Sonorius' office, all the way on the western part of the Solidariat. So this is, again, some sneaky...
Grand tour of the Parliament building.
It is indeed a grand tour, but once again, you're struck by the fact that this western part still remains pretty empty of soldierly presence or security of any kind. So it's pretty easy to actually get to Sonorius' office, but you do find the door locked.
Okay.
So if you would like to...
First, I will inspect it. Yeah, okay. I'll inspect it for traps, but I also will take special care to inspect it for magical traps or glyphs of any kind and things like that. In that case,
make both an investigation and an arcana check.
Okay, those are the same for me, so it's the same number. One is a 20 total.
Okay.
That was the investigation. And then 18 for the arcana.
Okay. You don't find any arcane means of keeping the place safe. It simply seems that it's very well locked, and indeed, even compared to other locks that you might have, expected in this place, this one is very, very well made. So you're probably going to have to put some work into trying to get it open. But if you like, you can attempt a check with your thieves' tools in order to open her up.
Yeah. Let me just double check, because I think Belmont was on our list for a couple of different things, wasn't he?
I believe so.
Or I feel like his name came up for more than one thing.
Well, Lord Fennec had marked him as a person of interest, and so did Lady Elena Sordenbrand.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So definitely, if he's interesting in both, I'll attempt it.
Okay.
I don't have anything to aid me here. Let me just double check. I don't think I do. Magical guidance. So I'll keep that in mind. So don't tell me.
Yeah.
I think if we can do it that way, so
Okay.
just don't tell me if I succeed. So if I just
Yeah.
roll super low, I'll just.
Okay.
Be
I
able
think
to
you
explain.
also have inspiration, Nicola, just remember.
I don't think I do. I use them liberally, so
Ah,
I think I used mine. I keep track of them, and I've used mine
Ah,
liberally.
okay.
So, yeah.
All right.
Okay, that's a very low roll of 9. So I'll use a sorcery point to reroll
Okay.
and pray to the gods. That is much better. Thank you, gods. That is a 20 total.
Okay. So as you're fiddling with this lock, and you start to feel that it's not quite, the tumblers aren't lining up. You're not getting it quite the way that you want it to align. You actually invoke the sorcery point. You feel this brief breeze of air come out of nothing, and it just guides your hand for a moment, and it's that moment that you need, and you hear the click, and the door actually just falls away from you inward and opens up for you into quite a lavish sort of office. Not quite what you expected of someone like Bilmont, who is described as having worked his way up and being generally quite a serious politician. But inside you do see, several richly dressed paintings on either side, a beautiful desk, and just generally like a bookcase with all sorts of like what seems to be not necessarily rare tomes, but just very, very nice editions of popular books and things like that, on various, political topics and philosophical ravings and that sort of thing. And you are indeed in Bilmont Sonorius' office. So go ahead.
Right.
I presume that you're going to investigate, so go ahead and make your investigation
Yes.
check. As you
No.
start to have a look around.
That's an 8, so I will use another sorcery point to reroll this one.
Sure.
And I rolled the same thing. So that's a 14 total.
Okay. I would say that your poor roll here probably is indicative of the fact that Jean-Jacques' attention is drawn pretty quickly because there's a lot of interesting things in this office. So the first thing that you find are several reports from what seem to be people that you don't know, but they're signed by people with military rank, and they seem to be guard captains or soldiers from the old Postitian Guard before the Black Hats were instituted. And those reports say that in some of the precincts that there are concerns about the types of people being employed as Black Hats, that they should have more rigorous screenings, that they can't just keep taking people off the street like that, and that there is definitely a concern about corruption within the Black Hats with the way things are going right now. These concerns seem to be mainly focused on the Cross District, parts of the Cat's-Eye West neighborhood, and on the Dusk Yard in Postizia. Beyond that, you also find a very a specific duty roster with orders for a group of Black Hats drawn from different police precincts across Cat's-Eye West, who have been ordered to guard the Orisi prison complex. It's a pretty well-known prison out in the bay, built on this, like, a really tall building that you guys sailed past when you entered Postizia, but haven't really had any...
Yeah,
any
what was the
cause
name
to.
of the prison, sorry? You said?
Orisi, so O-R-I-S-I.
Okay.
Let me see. Oh, yeah. And you do find, and from what you can tell, like, he hasn't necessarily hidden anything because he's trusting in the security of the office in the first place. You do see that he has had several letters exchanged with Elena Sordenbrand, actually, regarding the Unsold. As colleagues in the assembly, they've been talking about how to proceed, and she's been trying to make her case, trying to get him on her side, as he is a sort of mover and shaker. But nothing unusual there. You could probably find similar letters throughout this building.
Just as looking at it, does it seem like those, when I found them, did it seem like the letters were just simply, treated... Actually, put this, like, were they put together with a bunch of other papers, or were they in their own separate space? Like,
they were
does
in
it
their own
seem-
separate space regarding the Lady Sword so she definitely he
Okay.
seems to have organized everything based on the people that correspond with him, which is how you
Okay.
manage to filter out some of it, because it's simply not relevant
Gotcha.
to read stuff
Yeah.
from random people. There is, at the bottom of one of these letters, there is a sort of there's some scribbling by what seems to be Bilmont about should we involve her ? And then it's been struck out. So it seems that was cast aside as an idea. You also find one letter that's kind of been stuffed into the pile, or into a random pile, but it kind of sticks out, so you peek at it, and you see that it discusses, and it seems to have no relation to the pile itself, but it discusses additional research being done by someone, unstated. The type of research is also unstated, but it discusses ethical concerns about the subjects. You don't know what that might mean exactly, but there's definitely something happening that is being reported to Bilmont, and someone has some concerns. You don't see a return letter, so and based on the date, it seems to be dated about a week ago. Then finally, at the bottom of the pile with Elena's stuff, there is a letter that's not from Elena, but rather addressed to someone else, which wasn't sent, from what you can tell. Written by Bilmont himself. The writing matches up, and it discusses the quote-unquote problem of Pateric Sword poking his nose in. Should we do something about this or not? But as far as you can tell, this letter was never sent. And I will say that is primarily what you find, but please make a history check as well.
Okay. It's 21.
Oh, that's good. The handwriting here matches the thank you card that you found with Vista Nandorius's desk.
So it seems like he sent a thank you or a thank you letter to. Okay.
That is right.
Okay. The thickened plots. All right. Very nice. Very nice. Okay, so I think I'll be satisfied with that, because I mean, whether right or wrong, Jean-Jacques drawing some conclusions here. I will take care to return everything into its rightful place, to the best of my ability, and also I will give it a once over, looking specifically for secret compartments. Or did you? Because I think we did it
go
last
ahead.
time. So
make an investigation check for secret compartments.
Yeah, secret compartments, doors, things like that. Never mind. That's a 7.
Okay.
No, an 8.
Yeah, probably it's a case of so preoccupied with what he's been reading that, like halfway through he's checking and he's thinking and he realizes that he's not checking anything. He has to read the letter again. It just doesn't really lead anywhere. But yeah, overall, you put things back the best that you can, the way that it was. Probably not exactly the way that it was, just because of how much paper is involved, but it's as close as possible.
As close as possible, exactly. And one final thing that I'd like to do, does he have books? Like a bookcase or...
Yeah. He has one bookcase, like right next to the door, with various tomes and everything.
So looking really quickly over them, any interesting, topics, I definitely want to, look and take note of. But does he have any of the following? A history of the Lingua Arcana, an untitled book with the Olympics logo on it, Ephemeris Aeternum, the collected hymns, praise, and dedications to Mistra, or Mistral, or the Republic Rising, by any chance.
Republic Rising, yes, definitely.
Okay.
He also, let me see here. He also has a copy of the Ephemeris Aeternum.
Okay.
Yes. So those two books definitely appear there, but for the most part, the books that you find on his shelf are definitely political writings of various authors on, the development of the Republic in its early years, the way that it should be structured, and for the most part, they're definitely in line with his position as a sovereignist about, being strong and independent and that sort of thing as a nation.
Very nice.
All right.
I think I content myself with that, feeling that I'm already pushing the limits of my luck here with everything that's gone on. So Jean-Jacques' gonna take this as a fairly decent excursion.
Okay.
And I'm gonna head out. Now, before we jump over, one thing that I wanted to clarify with you is when I was discussing the ways in which the glyphs of warding and other magical protections work, we established that all of them were moved, all of the heavy-duty stuff was moved to the entrance.
Well, yes, now, on the outside, and then you have the places where you can enter the rest of the building.
The junctures.
Likewise.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So if I were to, let's say, try and pass the control points leading into the restricted area while invisible, I would surmise that I would get... Okay. So when I get within a certain acceptable distance of there, I'll uninvisibilize myself and go through a different checkpoint. So I won't go through the same checkpoint because I had already, been there with.
Well, the other one is the one that you that vanity kind of indicated you shouldn't go through in the first place.
Then I'll go through the same one. Okay. Yeah.
So as you pass, you do hear a slight. And the guard that you had initially charmed, the younger one, kind of rushes up and he goes like, "Sir, where have you been? Your lady friend came back half an hour ago. Is everything okay? What happened? You didn't do anything bad, right?"
I clap him on the shoulder and I give him a wink and I say, "I was just resting. It was an eventful night. I really thank you for that." Give him like the sleazy scumbag look.
Okay. I know he's really good at this, so go ahead, roll persuasion.
Yeah. Fuck me fail now after all of this. I'm dead.
Sorry, what?
But I will use. I absolutely fail, but I'll use one of my last few remaining sorcery points to reroll because I rolled a natural one, so I'll reroll that.
Don't roll the second one.
This is not much better. So 12 total.
Okay, now that's fine. Like he wants to believe in the first place, right?
Yeah.
So as you clap him on the shoulder, which is kind of awkward because you clap him on some very heavy armor, and it just kind of oh fuck. Maybe that's what throws you a bit. But he just kind of smiles uncertainly, and then he's kind of recovers with, "All right, sir, please have a nice evening, and please don't come back." And he just heads back to.
Thank kindly.
Yeah. All right. So you have escaped the depths of the Solidariat, and I would say you can probably join the rest of the group as they are recovering from their conversation with the Honorable Selman.
On my way there,
yes.
Do I see perhaps one Atticus Hope?
He is currently... Well, actually, make a perception check first.
Okay.
See if you can spot him, because he's quite small in the crowd.
It's 14.
Okay. It takes you a while. And you almost... You spot the Ashen Hearts first, but as you do, like, a little bit further away, you find Atticus in the courtyard itself, currently standing there with a group of like 3 or 4 other people, heatedly debating that he is not drunk while holding a drink.
Right.
So he is currently not having a good time. His face is slightly flushed. He's slightly angry, and he's just like you hear his voice go a little shrill as he goes like, "I'm not drunk. What are you talking about?"
So I'll pass close by.
Okay.
And it seems like my initial whip is working. So I was going to try and slip him the poison, but instead, as I'm passing behind, passing behind him, I'll look at his friends. And I'll do like one of those like a sad lean to the side and like a shake of the head, and then I'll walk off.
Okay.
Like look at him.
Yeah,
So obvious that he's drunk. Type of
Make another persuasion check just to see how this takes hold.
That is a 19.
Okay, so as you do this, you briefly make eye contact with one of the people standing around him, and they just kind of look like, oh, yeah. And then they immediately reach forward, put a hand on Atticus' shoulder, and just go like, come on, man, just calm down, we're going to take you home, and you can sleep it off. And he immediately just kind of pushes them off, and he goes, I'm not drunk! And you can see
as he yells that, I just lean into the first person, whoever it is, like right there I'm passing next to, and I'd be, such a shame, had such a promising career to throw it all away for drink. That's it. So I'll just continue doing similar things as I'm going to the Ashen Hearts.
So the first push, so you're kind of looking over your shoulder and you just kind of approach them out of the corner of your eye, right? And then you say this.
Yeah, pretty much.
So I kind of rolled for it to see how or who you might encounter. You say this, and then you look and you blink, and it is none other than Mr. Robert Mortimer.
Do it.
So he just kind of stands there like...
I just give him a very honest look, like, pleasure to meet you, sir. The name's Jean-Jacques Dupois.
He continues to keep his arms folded. You can see him kind of twitching a little bit. But he's not angry. He's very much in control of himself. And he smiles and he says, you should not have come here.
Why do you say so, sir? I was kindly invited.
He goes to pat you on the shoulder in passing as he starts to move away. I'm guessing you don't want to make a show, so you allow that? Or do you specifically want to avoid it?
I'll allow it.
Okay, so he just pats you on the shoulder and doesn't say anything else. And continues walking. By the way, his facial features, the kind of mutated version of tiefling human that he is, on full display. Like, unlike Appy, he has no qualms about showing who or what he is. And he goes off to immediately enter into conversation with the next person without paying you any mind whatsoever.
I kind of shrug, move away, continue doing my dance of, oh my god, look at Atticus, oh my god, what a scene, type of thing.
Alright, so inevitably after 3 or 4 people, you end up near enough to the Ashen Hearts that, they're the ones that you can inform about Atticus, but you guys are reunited again.
Yeah, just look, oh dearie me, did y'all see Atticus Hope and the poor state he's in? I mean,
extremely southern.
That was... It went a little bit too. Yeah.
Wait, is he drunk?
No, I have no idea.
Okay, was your mission success?
I do believe so. Quite a bit. And you found out who attacked Lord Storm, I presume?
We found out who didn't.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Honorable Clementine Selman didn't.
I lean in and I look at Barnack's eyes. How drunk are you?
Just tipsy.
Oh, okay, not at all. I got you.
Yeah. I'm still holding my own, don't worry. But, Jean-Jacques, there's a thing we need to do. But there are 2 things we need to do. First, you need to talk to people instead of us, because I asked 2 direct... Well, my questions are too direct.
Your questions are too direct?
I know!
I've never heard of such a thing.
I'm shocked as well.
Shocking.
As you guys are talking, you guys hear another voice louder than it should be. But this one is more familiar. In fact, it's Lord Fennec's voice that is raised. And you see him across the courtyard as he kind of half shouts, but not really. And he goes, No, you don't understand. It was the beast was as large as a horse. It attacked our house. What, darling, help me. And he turns to his wife, and she's just at his side trying to calm him down. But he continues to kind of talk very loudly about this, things that happened, but definitely not something you would want to be shouting publicly. And he's kind of making the same impression as Atticus was minutes ago, but even more extravagant. It's like he doesn't have control over the volume of his voice.
And he's talking to whom?
To his wife and to a group of people that have gathered around, various dignitaries and important people. You spot Jean-Pierre in the crowd. All of them look slightly bemused. This is sort of entertainment for them as well, to see someone embarrass themselves. And they're all just gathered around listening to him, and kind of, someone will shoot something out to urge him on and make him even crazier, or disbelieve him so that he goes even angrier, that sort of thing.
Can I take a moment to see if Jean-Pierre's smile is happy for his peril or just laughing casually?
Go ahead and make an insight check.
And 11 total.
Jean-Pierre, like Jean-Jacques himself, is difficult to read. They are experienced players in these arenas, and they manage to act their way through these situations quite well, unfortunately. So as you kind of try to get a glimpse at him, Jean-Pierre actually probably looks in your direction. He's just kind of looking around, see who else is enjoying the show, and he catches your eye, and he just inclines his head and bows a little bit, which makes it harder to read his expression.
I nod back at him with a little smile.
All right. So,
shall we assist Lord Fennec? I think he might need to be reminded of where we are.
I don't know about that, but Jean-Jacques, also make sure to look around and to look at people's mouths. There's someone here who has a silver tongue.
And it came from Honorable Clementine. She told us to look for someone.
To look for someone who has a silver tongue.
I can't keep a straight face. Yes.
This is exactly what's happening.
Tarnok's just like, I know.
Anyway, it doesn't matter. Lord Storm is in danger. Go, and we'll keep an eye.
Yeah, all right. I mean, you can go with me.
Yeah. Also, do you want? Nah, you don't. I'll give you later. Go. I'll take another drink from a passerby.
Okay.
At this sorry, but as Barnack grabs the drink and Jean-Jacques heads off, it's like it's a drink that's not meant for him, and this one was actually being served. So you just grab one, and the server just stands there like,
"Oh,
it's fine, sir.
I heard it calling to me."
Of course, and bows and heads away to get a new one.
I grab him from somewhere, and I try to walk hurriedly so that I can be beside Jean-Jacques.
Okay.
Yeah, I follow as well.
Okay. All right, so you guys start to kind of move into the small group of maybe 10 people or so that have gathered around, and at this point, Fennec, as he sees you guys, that's my saviors. They're the only ones that are any good. Black hats are horrible. They couldn't do anything about this creature, but these people kept me and my wife safe. And then he just points straight at you, Jean-Jacques.
Yeah. So I approach him, and I do one of those, like, very, I smile pleasantly at everybody else and at him, and I kind of try to, maybe, like, I don't want to pat him, like, patronizingly on the shoulder, but just kind of, like, approach him in a very, honest and kind of open way. Like, say, well, Lord Storm, you were very kind. We did have a role to play, but I do have to say, I mean, Black Hats are doing a fine job protecting the rest of the city. We were in the right place at the right time. And I tried to get a sense, is he like piss-ass drunk, or is something else going on?
I would say that would constitute a medicine check probably at this point to see. Okay. Because there's nothing visibly necessarily immediately obvious. It's not like he's sweating very heavily and, the signs of someone who's overtly drunk.
9.
Hard to tell. The only thing that stands out to you is that his pupils have dilated slightly. Actually, I should probably roll again for an advantage.
May I assist him, because I'm... if I remember correctly...
Well, no, he's already getting advantage, so you don't have to.
10.
10. Okay.
Rolled one higher.
No, unfortunately, nothing stands out to you as being the particular reason. In fact, it's quite unorthodox for him to be behaving this way. He's himself, just 10 times more himself. And he's probably spewing some things that maybe he would be more tactful about or not mention at all in public, usually. So you definitely get the sense that some inhibitions have been loosened.
Yeah. What time is, like, how much time has actually passed? Are we going towards the sort of twilight? Are people already starting to leave? Or
not people
is this
leaving
in full
yet, but
swing?
it's definitely late in the evening, so it's getting more towards probably the final hour of the celebration. Especially with the cold winter weather outside of the Solidariat. They want to send people home at a reasonable time as well, so it's probably getting towards about, let's say, 9 in the evening. And you probably have about an hour left before everything starts to really kind of wind down.
May I approach Lord Fennec as well and a bit loudly exclaim, "Oh, these drinks here are really something, I have to say, but there's a trick that works on me, and may I cast protection from evil and good on him? If the area is not anti-magic thing."
So what are the components of that spell? Because if you have material components, you don't have them with you.
Yeah, let me check. Powdered silver and iron.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
I
I
assume that
don't
you're
have that.
usually using like a component pouch, or...
Yeah,
Yeah, so
yeah.
that was one of the things, that you left behind.
True.
So unfortunately, as
Very
you have
true.
this idea, you go like, oh, shit, I don't have any of the tools that I need in order to make this happen.
Powdered iron or silver. We could take someone's silver tongue there. Powder it. Use it.
As you're
Yeah, you can go to the
contemplating,
powder room to powder the silver tongue into dust,
Of
right?
course.
as you're contemplating this, Fennec just kind of turns to Rhaenyra and he goes like, my lovely wife, the city isn't safe anymore for people like us. We who made Postitia what it is, even back in the day. I mean, this, and she kind of starts to shush him and at least gets him to calm down on that front, because you can tell
Yeah.
he was about to say something really kind of offensive about the Republic.
Yeah.
Yeah. But with all this intervention, I will say the crowd starts to thin pretty easily, because you guys are kind of covering him from view immediately, and there's kind of a sense of now it's starting to get sad. So you have some more time sort of alone with Lord Fennec here.
Yeah, so I immediately turn to Lady Rhaenyra and I say, my lady, did something happen while we were away that...
She's
I'm sorry,
still
my lord,
shushing
but you
him,
seem-
and she just looks at you for a moment, and then looks at, probably just points straight at his drink. She suspects someone slipped him something.
Yeah.
Did someone
yeah.
come and offer him something, or was it from a random servant?
Someone sent him a drink, and I don't know who. It's all right. It's all right. Yes, I know that it's horrible what happened, and we'll be okay though. Look, they're all here.
Yeah, so I'll look at Lord Fennec and I'll squeeze his shoulder and say, my lord, may I suggest that you go and sit down with your lovely wife and enjoy the rest of their evening in quiet, and don't really approach others until approached yourself, and depart in about 30 minutes. Stretching it a little bit thin here, but I will cast suggestion.
Okay.
And I'm casting it at 3rd level. Now, let me just double check, because I think suggestion has only verbal and material components, but
You have your
I have my focus,
yeah,
which is good.
which should replace all spell components without a cost.
You can spell first creatures make a sense. No, not this one. Subtle spell. Spell monsters casted without any somatic or verbal components. I mean, I never understood this part about suggestion. Is do I use, they say abracadabra and then suggestion with the verbal component, or is the actual
I think it's
suggestion
more
the verbal
compelling
component?
to say that the actual suggestion is a spell.
Yeah.
That in my opinion is because it's something that should fall under stealth and social sort of stealth as well,
Yeah.
so that you could use it indeed in these situations. So in my opinion, it's something that you can apply. It's kind of designed for this sort of situation.
Yeah, so I'll try it then, and that's my suggestion.
All right. He rolled a 16 on the save, which without your robe does that save
That
or not?
fails
Okay.
because my save is 17.
So you see that he kind of his voice continues to be louder than it should be, but he does agree to be led back to the place where they were sitting earlier, and he just continues to kind of rave and rant at his wife instead of at you guys. But
Yeah.
you can definitely see, like, it's not the regular Lord Fenix storm. Like, he's kind
Yeah.
of caught up in whatever this is, and it's definitely.
Would I have been able
affecting him.
to like snatch his drink away from him?
Oh
like,
yeah, for
as
sure.
part of
She,
this?
she probably, like, Lady Rhaenyra probably took it from him and passed it off to
Okay.
you as they went to sit.
All right.
And requested
So
some
I'll
water.
smell it and see if I can sense anything weird
Okay.
about it. But I think I have a decent idea of what this is.
Make another medicine check.
And while he's
Wow,
doing that,
another 10.
Do you compare it to anything specifically?
Well, I would try to compare it with my. What is the name? Lecaspor. If I could like.
Then yes,
cover-
even with a 10, you do recognize that it is indeed lecaspor that's been added to this drink. It has a very very particular sort of bitter smell to it that reaches you.
Lady Rhaenyra, before they leave, I would just like to ask her, do you remember who the waiter was? The exact waiter?
She looks around. I think that one, and she points to one that's just walking across the courtyard right now. It seems to be a sort of young human with particular reddish hair. Like, not very, very notable, but just a little bit reddish hair.
Perfect. Jean-Jacques?
Yes.
Yeah. Talk.
Yeah.
Not me.
All right. Talk, not me. Just like point Jean-Jacques in a direction and talk.
Yeah.
So I will
We'll do
approach the
this.
waiter. Yeah, I will approach the waiter and
right.
try and find out, who sent the drink.
All right. Let's see here. So normally we'd be taking our break in 10 minutes, but I'm thinking maybe, because I also really need to use the restroom, how about we take our 20-minute break here, and then
Sure.
we'll return 10 minutes past, 40 minutes past 7, with the waiter, and we'll see where this is going. Sorry for the slightly earlier break, but I really need this break right now. And then we can find out where else JJ, the loaded talking weapon, is going to be pointed by the group, and hopefully we'll see Mira soon. So or Myra, sorry.
Yeah.
All right. Then I will see you guys in a minute. And I'll be here on the stream. I just need to use the restroom real quick. All right. See you guys in a
Me
moment.
too. I'll be back in a minute and then also stay here.
Yeah, I'll grab something to munch on and listen.
All right.
Yep.
Cool. Well, my overlay block is completely wrong. There we go. Hello, stream team. How are you guys doing? Thank you for watching and hanging out with us. Sorry again for the abrupt break that we had to take there, but I was kind of sitting already and I was waiting like, yeah, should I go now? No, but I have to take the break soon, so why not move it forward? In any case, yeah, that we are finally getting to some of the reveals and some of the twists and turns of what the players came for in the Solidariat. And I'm very excited to see what the players make of it. And yeah, I wanted to spend this time also really quickly going through the Tabletop TV thing. So it's been a little quiet on the Tabletop TV front recently, but we are of course eager to be tweeting under Tabletop TV hashtag, and there are some awesome streamers that are signed up on this list, and hopefully soon we will be able to offer a little more support, a more supportive framework. But unfortunately, it's been mainly in the behind the scenes area that we have been working. Well, that I've been working. I am alone at the moment, so if any of you have time to spare and you want to help, also let me know. But the goal is to support fellow TTRPG streamers, because I think it's an awesome hobby, but it's really difficult to find, or rather to make sure that you're watching what you want to be watching, because, you know, a TTRPG stream can be 2 to 4 hours, and in that time, you know, you have to A, know what's going on in the session, you have to B, find out if you like the characters, C, if you like the players, and then also see if you like the story being told, and then you have to connect with the larger universe that's going on, because unless you're watching something from episode 1, it's really difficult to get into. So I am currently working on sort of helpful tools to help players, to help TTRPG streamers potentially introduce new viewers to their content, and that's kind of what I want Tabletop TV to be geared towards. There's some really cool stuff like series. Oh shoot, I forgot the exact link. There's a cool tool which is called Series Finder, I think, or something like that. On which you can find cool TTRPG podcasts and stuff, so like on a larger level than just streams. But I think that for streams in particular, you have additional challenges, because people want to be watching live, but it's hard to get to the point of being able to watch live, right? Because it automatically throws up additional hurdles. Whereas with a podcast, you can just download it from episode 1 and listen to it regardless. Which you could theoretically do with streams as well, but you lose out on the benefit of streaming. So you need to help viewers catch up. And that's kind of what I've been trying to brainstorm and work on. And hopefully I can reveal the website soon, which is what I'm working towards. Which is going to be just, or rather, an index of our TTRPG streamers that are signed up right now, so that you can see when they are live, but also what they are live with at any given point, so that you can see, okay, I feel like watching an actual play that has, you know, this or this or this. For example, with us, it's politics and lots of role play and complex interwoven storylines and like really, really, really complex. Whereas with others, you know, you have cool stuff like youngsters at a sort of high school setting, or you have some of the published adventures and stuff like that. And all of it is really, really cool. So I'm pretty excited to see what comes out of that. Thanks, Spaceboy. I really appreciate you lurking and hanging out. And good luck with your match, by the way. That sounds exciting. But yeah, in any case... sadly, today we are the first time officially without Core. We've had to play without Carlos before, but we always knew that he was coming back. So today is kind of for us adjusting as well, knowing that that Core will not be re-entering our story anytime soon, which is a little bit sad. But then, of course, we have Chansey, and I'm really excited for you guys to meet her character, because it's a really cool character and it interweaves very nicely with some of the revelations that have been going on. In fact, I don't know when you were watching, but if you were watching during the reveals in some of the offices and stuff, I know for a fact that Chansey's face lit up at certain points, so I'm pretty excited to see what comes out of that. And this is a bit of a teaser for any of those players of you who are currently listening to the stream while we're on break. Yeah, you can go back and see and try to puzzle it all together. I'm starting to become more like you, Simon. I want everything to be a puzzle. Just give pieces to the players and let them put it together somehow. It's I mean, it's kind of what you always do, right? But even more than usual. It's so much fun. All right. Also, my overlay is completely turned incorrectly. Of course, it's a journey you want to take. That's part of the fun. I think this will be a transform. Oh. Hold on. Oh, God. Oh, okay. Sorry, I'm just checking in on some people to make sure. Yeah, the mug is awesome, right? I mean, or do you mean my mug? No, I'm kidding. The mug, like, it's super dope. It's actually official D&D licensed stuff. I want to show you the bottom, but I would throw water on myself. Should be slightly awkward. So I was trying to fix my block overlay block, and instead I completely swapped my original, like the actual overlay that's going on, so that's helpful. But I'm really happy with how it looks, by the way. I don't know if you guys noticed, but I obviously upgraded, and most of you have seen it before, but not in action. But I think the new overlay looks so cool. I think it works out really well. So if I do this now... Nope. Okay, cool. So there we go. Yeah, we just need one player to return and we're good. But yeah, this mug is dope. I had something else D&D related that I bought. Oh yeah, but that's not really viewable, I guess. It is Nicolas. So the just the A, no I. I apologize for not correcting you before, but I kind of, you know, left it up to him to figure that out if he wanted to. Alright, good luck with the match, man. And I appreciate you checking in. Should probably do a quick TTV update. Oh, no worries. It was in the neighborhood, and I'm sure it's fine. It's, you know... I also have a dog called Nicolo, so that's also fun. Sometimes like I want to call him that. But yeah. You know, the Equinical has been a lot of fun, but I am looking forward to moving on as well. Like, it's been this thing that we've been building up for so long, but it's kind of, and I don't mind it, but it's put our gameplay into a sort of time dilation where, you know, days really took like a session per day that happened in the game world. And I'm really looking forward to kind of having some more motion in the story again. Just by virtue of not having this philosophy of or this need for certain things to happen before this specific event. Popped on for a bit, finally caught your stream. Ah, nice. I appreciate you checking in. Feel free to leave it on. If the sound is bothering you, just mute tab, and it still counts as a view. So, but either way, I appreciate you. Thanks for checking in. All right. That does not belong there. All right. All right. Let me send this message real quick. All right. Oh, by the way, cool news. But from next week, I should also have a dice cam, or not a desk cam, essentially. Because I have this webcam, which is my new Brio 4K webcam, which is really nice. But obviously, I have my old, which is also a nice streaming webcam, which is the Logitech C920. So since I still have that one, I hooked it up, and I actually have it attached to the one monitor I'm not using. And I'm gonna have it in use, like pointed down at my desk, next to my mouse, essentially, and then you guys can see the dice that I roll. Or if I want to do card readings, I'm gonna do those. So that's gonna be pretty cool. And we should be ready to return here in a moment once Tani comes back. So hold on to your hats. I'm gonna do a big tweeterino. There we go. Alright. Time dilation is weird in D&D. The best, most intense games. Gaming takes the longest real time. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. But I'm really excited. Like, I really wanted to make sure that we did this right, because this was not just built up as something important, but the players felt that it was important. And they had a lot of opportunities to look into various things, so I wanted to make sure that everything could be done exactly the way that it should be. So essentially, since we started streaming, we've been building up to the Equinical. This is the conclusion of that, and then we finally get to start looking into a bit more of the world moving forward. Hi Mads, welcome. Welcome. How are you doing? What the heck is this? Alright. Let's see here. But yeah, we are currently, I think most of us are dealing with some issues regarding health. Unfortunately, it is that time of the year, and it's that time in the decade apparently. So please wish us well. No one's doing anything terrible, but I am reading the map backwards. I would fix it, but I already fixed the overlay again, so I can't. It's too much work now. But yeah, I'm so happy with this new overlay though. All right, let's check in with the players and see if they are good to go. Hey, are you guys good to go? Thumbs up. Cool. Milosha, you good too? He doesn't hear me. You good? Can I? Alright, we should be back in a moment. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I'm really happy with this. I have a whole folder of landscape pictures that I picked up over the years. You know, every time I see a beautiful picture of landscapes, I just save it so I can use it. Alright, we're going to transition back, and we're all back live again on the stream. So hi everyone. Can somebody say a word though? Because I'm not.
Hello.
There you
Hello.
go. I was like,
Yeah.
this is
We
like the
were
trick
waving.
where you start talking but you don't actually say any words,
No.
just to make people believe that you're muted.
Should have stayed muted.
Damn it, Chansey.
No,
Should have stayed muted.
is my mic
Hey,
okay?
hey, be nice to each other. You'll hate each other plenty later on. All right, then in that case, welcome back everyone to the final section of the Equinical, as you are all gathered together near Lord Storm, and you have chosen to approach the waiter that brought him the suspicious drink, at least suspicious according to Lady Rhaenyra, and Jean-Jacques' investigations. So, you interrupt him, and he stops, and he goes, "Yes, sir. How may I help you tonight?"
I hope by telling me who sent the drink that you brought to Lord Fennec. You see, the venerable lord would like to reciprocate and return the favor. So I'm interested to find out who sent it.
I'm very sorry, sir. That was a while ago, and I frankly I don't remember. We get a lot of requests for drinks for other people. It escapes me. I'm sorry.
Do I get the sense that they're entirely truthful or not?
Feel free to make an insight check.
Oh, nice. 14?
Let's see. Yeah, he's lying. He's not a very convincing liar either.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So I'll
yeah.
just, with still a smile on my face, I'll let a little bit of that true nature come through, hopefully, in my general expression, like probably the picture that you made for me.
Okay.
Just stare real deep into his eyes, and I say, "Is it?" I say he because I'm an asshole. And okay. So I'll look him deep in the eye and I'll say, "Listen, son, just tell me. It's gonna be much simpler for you."
Sir, I was asked not to divulge that information, but it was a gift of a nice drink. I don't see what the problem is here.
And now I'm asking you to divulge the information because there are circumstances that are beyond your pay grade and understanding. So you will now tell me.
Okay. Quick question before I ask for anything. Where are the other Ashen Hearts in relation to this? Are you guys holding back? Are you guys...
I'm next to Jean-Jacques.
Okay. So, in that case, please roll... I will say with that, and I'm assuming the rest are as well. Please roll Intimidation with advantage, as essentially this is, the superhero lineup moment where like Jean-Jacques is demanding it and all the others just cross their arms and stand in the back menacingly.
I do this pose and crack.
I said 23.
23. Jeez, alright. Please calm down. It was Mr. Grundig. Mr. Grundig wanted to buy the Lord a drink. And that's all.
Which Mr. Grundig? Philip?
Yes, the loud one. He came back in a while ago and he said he wanted to make amends.
Good lad. And I slip him a gold piece.
He looks very confused for a moment, but immediately recovers. Thank you, sir. Puts it away, and the moment you take your attention off it, he's gone.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I just look at Barnick, and I just look at him like, real people really need to, be more aware of who they can bullshit or not. It's quite disturbing, these young people wanting to. And there's kid just outside and walks off.
Kids these days.
He's up with the kids these days. It's like, fuck me, man. Just
okay. All right.
So it was Philip Grundig.
correct. Now, I mean, the problem with this is that doesn't really tell us much other than Philip is just as much of an asshole that he seems to be. I mean, it is incriminating, considering all that's happened, but
If we could get him alone, you might be able to suggest that he, tells the truth around everyone else.
yes, but you see, there's a small matter of that being quite risky, because if I fail, for example, if we're detected, it can lead to quite an unpleasant situation. It's not the best idea to try and ensorcel members of the Grand Assembly, generally speaking.
And he,
Because he's a member as well, right? He's not just, he's that actual member.
Yeah, he is an actual member.
Yeah.
he is in the Republican Reform Commission. Do we
Yes.
know anyone else from there that could help? I don't think we do.
You are a bit quiet, by the way, Barnack, I know, so don't worry about it,
Oh.
but just so you know, I don't know if your
Whoa,
mic
wait,
is
wait.
further away from your mouth.
Shouldn't be.
Okay.
Let me check.
No, that's much clearer.
Okay. We don't know anyone else from the same commission, though.
Well, there's another way that we could go about this. Is you remember that silver tongue that you were asked to procure? Thankfully, I got one somehow lying in my pocket.
Can you show it, please?
No, that would be entirely inappropriate, Barnick. Come on, we're at an official event.
That's
Another
silver
time.
tongue.
Does it belong to that ring that speaks to you? Is that what you mean?
The ring also has a silver tongue, yes. But I don't have it on me. No, I'm saying,
Just taking another drink.
where is Philip right now?
Philip,
see
make another perception check. See if you can spot.
I'll
Philip,
turn to
really.
Barnack. Like, help me find the gentleman, please.
I
Or-
do need.
And I will try and help Barnack find the gentleman
Okay.
by saying that, if I may.
Sure.
I'll if there's a chair, I'll just like gently climb on top of it so that I can see.
So Barnack kind of looks around and then decides, okay, I'll grab a chair. Probably have to pull it into the courtyard because like there's not actual chairs there. And then tries to climb on top of it.
I try and stop. I'm like, no, it's not. You can't climb up
I
on
don't
a chair,
see
Barnack.
from here.
I extend my arms.
Fuck it,
Like,
then-
want me to lift you?
Yes, I don't need a chair. You can just lift me. That's also good.
All right, make an athletic check, Tani.
I need perception check.
God almighty, what have I done to deserve this ill fate?
Barnack probably gets
I
lifted
try
like a
I try to
toddler.
grab him from his torso. Yeah.
All right, what was your athletics?
11.
Okay, so it kind of becomes more of you grabbing Barnack, and you get him like halfway. Then you realize Barnack is pretty damn heavy. So you're
Yeah,
you're about the height of an average human person now.
Perfect.
But it's not much higher than that.
Yeah, that's fine. Okay,
Okay.
so careful with those hands, Tani. And I'll then look
Go
around.
ahead and make
for
your perception
Philip
check.
Grundig.
I'll
With
say-
advantage.
Yeah. Yeah. You guys are both on.
We
the
don't want
lookout.
another deep panting incident.
That's good. That's good. That is 21 in total.
21 in total. Okay. With a 21 in total, you spot, like, so just for your perception, right? You guys are in the courtyard, which is essentially this building that runs with corridors around a relatively open courtyard, in which the only notable feature is this statue in the middle. So you guys kind of get closer to the statue, not really super out in the open, but definitely where you can see the most around you, because around you there are many doors that are open to the courtyard as well, from all the offices that normally sit around here, which have all been open to each other as well to create this sort of space. And as you get lifted, you start to look around, and it's essentially Tani, you hold him up, and you have to just kind of twist around and turn as you're to give Barnack his field of view. And
Like a
Barnack,
lighthouse.
you spot Philip currently walking quietly, shoulder to shoulder, with Jean-Pierre Chopin.
Target acquired. He's with your cousin, Jean-Jacques. He's there. Well, I won't point. He's there, where I'm looking right now. Annie,
Okay.
can you see him?
I look around from his torso like,
Yep.
uh-huh.
Okay, so yeah, let's follow him with our eyes. Jean-Jacques not maybe here.
Nicolas, you still here?
Oh, he might have gone to pay the thing.
Oh, right. In any case, as you guys
Where
are
are they
watching,
headed?
well, they're actually just walking in the sort of, it's not a circle but more square, but they're walking in the, they're walking around the courtyard.
Yeah, just walking and talking.
Yeah,
not
walking and
leaving.
talking and drinking.
That's important.
Philip seems to have calmed down from his earlier outburst that almost had him removed from the party entirely. And he seems to be in quite quiet conversation. In the background, you guys still hear occasionally Lord Fennec's voice rising to, challenge things unnecessarily loudly.
So, I don't know if we should approach both of them, but if we do, Tani, Jean-Pierre was very interested in talking to you. Well, at least at the party. Do you think he wouldn't be interested in talking to you more? Although he looked like a sleazebag, so I don't want you to talk to him if you don't want to, of course. He was I mean, at least Jean-Jacques told me that he was a sleazebag, so...
Oh, he's definitely a sleazebag.
Oh.
For sure.
So, should we approach both of them, Jean-Jacques? Should we...
Saying hi be useful? Because we were at that dinner before. So maybe it would be courteous to say hi.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a good opportunity to approach, especially since we don't know Philip. And my apologies for my absent-mindedness. There was a tray of food nearby that caught my attention. I think we could approach them. It's a decent enough opportunity. Just be mindful of what we're trying to achieve, right? My suggestion would be to disparage the Lord Storm and strike up our conversation that way, and rely on the fact that we all hate nobility. Yeah. One moment, there's another tray of food near.
Oh boy. All right.
So no direct questions. Perfect. Let's move. Let's move before they part ways, because then we wouldn't have any other reason to really go to Mr. Grundig or Philip. I don't know what he'll like to be called.
Okay. So you guys go and approach Mr. Philip Grundig and Jean-Pierre Chopin, the cousin of your very own Jean-Jacques. How do you want to open this conversation?
I'll let Jean-Jacques do that. He said he had a silver tongue in his pocket.
Okay. Yeah, this is slightly awkward because you're placing Jean-Jacques at the center.
And he's not. Yeah.
Yeah. That's okay.
Okay. No, it's fine. I'll then. Mr. Chopin.
He looks over, and you see him kind of almost affectionately put a hand out to stop Philip from walking, and he beckons him over, and you can see him already introducing you guys really quickly. You can see the names form on his lips, and as he comes closer, he says, "Ambassador Stoneheart, it is." Wait, no,
It is a
sorry.
pleasure.
Different voice. Ambassador Stoneheart, it is wonderful to meet you again. How are you doing this fine evening?
It's a pleasure to see you, sir, as well.
I have been practicing, and he holds on for a moment, and then he extends his hand,
Oh,
and
that
he waits
is
for you
very
to do
good.
the same. And then he takes your hand to shake.
perfect form, I have to say, Mr. Chopin. Perfect form.
Wow, thank you very much. I am nothing if not very conscientious of other cultures, so I appreciate that you've made me
And
aware.
meticulous.
Of,
Meticulous, I have
why,
to
thank
say.
you, and of course the lovely Tani. Wonderful to see you again. And
your
Wonderful
friend?
to be here.
yes, of course, my apologies. Philip, please excuse me. These are the wonderful Ashen Hearts, if I recall correctly.
Yes.
This is my very good friend, Mr. Philip Grundig. Perhaps you are acquainted already, or is this your first time meeting? And you can see Philip takes a sort of more protective stance, folds his arms, doesn't look very eager for the conversation.
I don't believe we've ever had the pleasure. Sorry.
No, indeed, I don't believe that we have. Very nice to meet you. What brings you to our celebration tonight? I don't believe that we have freelancers here often.
Well, I
We were invited.
Yeah.
At this point, Jean-Pierre kind of goes like, cousin, I thought you were a bit preoccupied with the food there, so I thought I would just leave you be, but very kind of you to join the conversation. How are you tonight?
I'm very well, my dear cousin, and yes, I was indeed. These prawn cocktails are absolutely to die for.
Oh, they are, aren't they? Just, so good.
Quite. I look at the Lord and bow to Philip. I say, we were invited by several members as associates.
Associates, so that is interesting. You must tell us more about that.
That's Philip or Jean-Pierre?
No, that is Jean-Pierre. Absolutely. Philip is like not taking part in the conversation as much.
Yeah. He gave him this fucking incredulous look, like, what the fuck are you doing?
You can see, like, just the most pleasant, carefree smile going as he just waits for you to bullshit your way out of this one.
Well, I just say, would be more than happy to share, but as you know, we do cherish the privacy of our clients and the freelancers, and it is one of the more, sought after parts of our business.
Of course. I suppose that's a very admirable thing to do. I hadn't really considered that so far. There's in these halls, privacy is a bit of wishful thinking. Isn't that right, Philip? And he kind of nudges Philip a little bit, and Philip just uncomfortably smiles, and just seems to try to want to escape the conversation. So as he gets nudged, he looks around, and you see him literally look at nothing, and he goes like, please excuse me, I need to have a quick conversation, and he begins to head off.
Was he looking at us with, like, hostility or just, like, awkwardness?
Make an insight check, actually.
Oh, 18.
Okay.
Yes, 18.
The best that you can make of it is that he is a man who was in a private conversation that was interrupted, and unlike Jean-Pierre, he is not hiding it very well.
Okay. Well, Does anybody else have an idea? Or should I?
Well, Mr. Jean-Pierre, and I look at Jean-Jacques, like, for a moment, with one of my eyes going left.
Oh, God.
Not the eye again.
All right.
Mr. Chopin, have you heard about the recent terrible attack on the well, at least the rumors are saying that someone attacked Lord Storm.
I have heard these rumors, yes. Quite troubling. And I will say, in this moment, all of you very notice, because he's not trying to hide it. He looks to Jean-Jacques and just like raises his eyebrows real quick and just like, like he's trying to convey a secret, or that he expects Jean-Jacques to understand at least. So he just kind of looks at JJ and he goes,
Like is that like
you can interpret that however you want to interpret it.
Yeah. I lean in towards him and I say, well, I can't say that I'm surprised considering his political leanings.
Indeed, he is quite a troublesome little fella, and I would say he has the potential to become big trouble quite soon if whoever stands against him doesn't move quickly enough.
Did Philip leave?
Yeah, Philip walked away. He's not in this conversation. No, he the soonest opportunity he got, he left. He didn't want to be in the conversation anymore.
I kind of look at him and be like, yes, indeed. I'm sure that person must have quite a gripe with him to send such individuals.
Quite a gripe? Oh, I don't know. Seems, from what I heard, that it was business as usual in some circles of our great assembly. So I don't know that it was really that uncommon, or speaking of any large personal disagreements. Simply the nature of business in our republic, I would say. Or you would disagree?
I kind of look. Oh, well, I'm sure that you know better than I do, dear cousin. I am but a visitor here, and I look after the guy, and you have many friends in many places.
I do indeed. That is the nature of my job on behalf of our family, dear cousin.
Of course. I also just wanted to say it's such a shame to see Mr. Atticus Hope in such poor behavior tonight.
You see him just light up, and he says, "Oh yes, absolutely terrible to see what has become of the man. I think it's a tragedy, frankly, and I can only wish him well. But it seems that he has behaved in such an atrocious manner that it will be quite easy to make the case that he should not be in any particularly important places or positions for the near future, until, of course, he recovers his wits and is quite himself again."
Of course. But I'm sure that somebody better is waiting in the wings, ready to do what's best for the Republic.
Undoubtedly. I mean, you yourself are one of these people who are always ready to help the Republic, and there are hundreds, if not thousands of them ready in our great capital to ensure that all the wheels of government run smoothly.
Of course, dear cousin.
He kind of, takes a moment and lets the silence fall, and then just leans forward and he says, "Well done, by the way."
Thank you. Good luck.
And you as well.
I hate JJ's cousin.
Yeah, I saw that, Chansey.
He's the worst.
All right. Well then, I wish you all a lovely evening. I believe it's time for me to retire, so I wish you a good night. And he, makes a slight bow to the group as a whole, and then just starts heading off. Clearly having no intention of actually leaving, but he's just kind of relaxing and talking with people. Quite chill.
Where did Philip Grundig go?
He tried to get out of sight ASAP. So you saw him cross part of the courtyard and then dip through another door out of sight.
We need to corner that one.
Yes, I think that my cousin tried to tell me that it is either Philip or my cousin that did this, so...
Mm-hmm. He didn't seem surprised at all.
Well, one thing that you find out is that, well, it's not really surprising.
Well, yeah, Lord Storm was screaming that, but yeah, he was familiar with it.
Oh, no, I mean, it's quite common for these types of things to happen in the political battlefield.
True, but Jean-Jacques, if I remember correctly, and there might be some alcohol in me, so it might not be letting me remember correctly, but the ones that attacked Lord Storm, they were connected to our other target, weren't they?
Well,
So whoever...
the serious motherfucker?
Yes, let's call it that, yes.
Sure.
I totally fucked up a word there, but never mind. Yeah. Well, all of the potential allies that you would want in this type of endeavor are pretty much connected to that other target now.
Which means that one of these two might know who that other target is.
Well, not necessarily.
But maybe.
Like you were a citizen of the Republic, it doesn't necessarily mean that you know the Grand Pensionary personally. Quite the opposite, really. You had no fucking clue who they were.
True, but I'm not an actual citizen of the Republic yet.
Yeah, you are.
What?
Yeah, I am. But that doesn't matter. What matters is maybe they still... I mean, that's a slim chance, but we should take it. But we can't really do it in the open. I don't know. I need a drink. Yeah, this is your thing, Jean-Jacques. Go talk to whoever you want. Oh, also. And I hand him 2 pieces of papers. You can use this if you need to, like to intimidate someone or something.
I take a look at the pieces of paper.
That's my plan B, by the way. So.
Turnock tries to actually reach out and stop you from handing it off, but then he just kind of backs off. And Jean-Jacques, you do indeed see 2 pieces of paper which have written on them, Barnack.
Scarlet Rose sends their regards.
I just really quickly look at it like, what the flying? and I like crumple them up and then just shoot like a localized flame bolt in my hand. Just burn this to a crisp, or would that be too obvious?
No, I think you could do it if you also incur the damage yourself. Like,
yeah, I'll take the dab. Ooh,
okay.
Wait.
No, I mean it's not going to be the full damage. It's going to be like.
Oh, okay.
So you take 1 point of damage as you just like
Okay.
hold it in your hand, and you guys, those of you closest, do see like a brief flash of fire out of his hand, just like a little bit, and then just a tiny bit of smoke that curls up. And then when you open your hand, there's just burnt paper, which obviously has burnt your hand as well.
Jean-Jacques, why did you do that? What the hell is wrong with you? That's
What?
Turnock just
What
goes.
the fuck are you doing?
Turnock just
lost
goes.
4
He
of
has
them.
more.
Yeah, we lost 4 of them to our members.
How many do you have? You, what the?
I'm not telling.
Please don't, because it's better if I don't know.
Another 50.
What? 50.
I wanted to slip a few of them to people.
To 50 fucking people?
No,
Why'd you make 50?
doesn't matter. Go. Yes, I don't know. I'll. Do you want another piece just to have it as
No,
planned?
no, absolutely fucking not.
Okay,
No.
they are staying with me then.
Okay. I think that we might be pushing our luck if we push too many buttons in this event. So I think that we should wrap our business up
That's true.
and consider this not a success. I can tell you that it has been a success with regard to other business.
Well, it was also a success because we have narrowed it down to 2 people.
Yeah, we
tell that
confirmed they
to
are
Lord-
suspicious.
Yeah, we can tell that to Lord Storm. We can also tell him who it wasn't. And I mean, he is a lord. He should have more authority and help there.
And we can tell him who it was who sent the spiked drink to him.
That too.
Which
I
I
mean,
think we
all
can
of-
consider evidence that at least there is a significant amount of animosity. Of course, it would be
Yes.
best if we were to procure more evidence, but remind me, Kevin, we were like, he wanted a clue, right? It wasn't necessarily like you need to
No, it
confirm
wasn't
this 100 million
expose this
percent.
person at the Equinical. It was talk
Yeah.
with people and find out what they think, what they're saying, and
Yeah.
whether any of them are particularly likely to have been the culprits behind the attacks on me and my family.
Yeah.
So yeah, by that standard, I would say that you've definitely achieved what you're looking for here.
Does that mean that I can get pissed now completely
Well-
and then we leave?
Yeah, I think you can definitely get super drunk, but just don't get paradise drunk. You remember what happened that time, and we don't want to do that.
We don't talk about that one.
Yep.
We don't talk about that one. I'll go
Or
get drunk.
Edeah. Or maybe not that one either, okay? Just like regular drunk.
Regular drunk days.
Let's not open weird boxes.
No. Tani?
Just look at Tani with like a deadpan face and just say, you have no idea, Tani.
Okay. So, what is the plan going forward here? Do you guys want to stay at the Equinical for a particular reason, or do you want to sort of move forward to pass the Equinical and see where that goes?
I would like to get a bit drunk and also keep an eye on Lord Storm as he leaves so that nothing happens to him as he's leaving.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe even just board his carriage if I can, like just ask him to go with
Yeah,
me.
I mean, you guys can go back with them if you like and get them
Yes.
back to the manor
Yeah.
altogether.
Just
Yes.
to make sure, yeah.
Okay.
I'd just like to do 2 more things at the Equinical. One is just briefly pass by Elena or try to grab her in her meanderings through the crowd and just say, you know, thank you for the conversation tonight. I believe that we should converse on the morrow when you have some time.
She will say to you that she agrees and that you should come by her house in the morning before noon.
Okay. Great. And then the second one is just like, you know, moving through the crowd. I will, for a brief moment, pass through the eyesight of Esme if she's there,
Okay.
and just give her one look, and then move on.
Okay. Interesting. Let me see here. As Jean-Jacques does so, the final steps before you guys leave with Lord Storm, you catch Esme's eye, and immediately you can see she looks kind of bashful, shy almost, very young all of a sudden, and very much like the woman that you used to know, almost immediately. Like it's kind of catapulted her backwards in time. And you leave her, obviously, looking flushed as you move on. But definitely not any hints of the confident deal maker that you saw earlier in the day.
Yeah.
Or in the night, actually.
Interesting.
As we're leaving, I will turn to Jean-Jacques and say, "Oh, by the way, good thing that you... Well, did you take our stuff from the office?"
No. It's there.
How do we get it?
But I believe that Lady Elena would take care of that for us.
You've thought of everything. I'm going to go.
Well, see, Barney, that's why you keep me around.
Fair enough. All right. So you guys set out with Lord and Lady Storm for the manor, passing back through all of the security checkpoints. You see a number of important people either, still drinking and having a good time, or some of them actually leaving as well. And you see a whole just line of carriages out in front of the Solidariat waiting to take people to wherever they need to go. You climb aboard, and Fennec is still kind of ranting and raving. He's starting to get a little tired, but he's still ranting and raving about, the various flaws, but also his crown-minded loyalties and the fact that he would still sees the Republic being better off if it returns to being a kingdom, and he starts this whole rant about, I don't want to be king, I just think that somebody should be, and that sort of thing. Really his conservatism kind of on full display here, and it turns into quite an awkward night as Rhaenyra is trying to calm him down, and the rest of you are riding with them, kind of cramped also, just to make sure that you can all ride together. But you do manage to make it back to the manor. No dead guards or anything like that, so you are quite safe as you return to Storm Manor in the Catstye district, and can retire for the night, or discuss a little bit before you retire. But I presume that most of the meaningful conversation will probably occur in the morning, as you guys have some time to talk over breakfast and get your bearing on everything.
Just a quick retrospect question. While we were boarding the carriages, you said that there were other carriages nearby, right?
Yeah.
Could we see anyone we thought was important boarding any other carriage?
Yeah, absolutely. You could see several people. You could see the Empire ambassadors, the Duke and the Duchess, both departing in one quite a ways away from you, like further down the line.
Yeah, one that's very close to us.
One that was really close to you.
Yeah.
I would say you could probably see the carriage of one tiefling. That you're not sure which tiefling it is necessarily. There are a couple of prominent ones, but definitely one that was described to you. Unless you want someone that's specific to the list that Lord Fennec gave you.
I was hoping to catch Philip Grundig or someone else close to us.
Oh no, it's unfortunately
some of those papers into their carriage.
Unfortunately, that's quite specific. You would have to have timed your leaving with
them, but no, I
which
didn't.
Unfortunately doesn't quite work.
And I'm
out.
too drunk for that now anyway.
That makes sense. All right, so return to the manor. You guys have time in the night to rest and recover at least your wits, if not your strength, since you did have to deal with a lot of things. But sadly, also you return to sleep without your friend Kor by your side for the first time in a long time, for many of you, and perhaps uneasy dreams. At least the night is cold, and throughout the night, several of you at various points wake up, hearing strange sounds outside, thinking perhaps back to that night where the creature arrived, but nothing happens, nothing growls, nothing wants anything of you. And you make it to the morning, early morning, well before actually Lord Fennec awakens himself. Only the Lady Rhaenyra is awake, and she says that he is quite a heavy sleeper at the moment, and it seems that whatever he was spiked with, presumably this Lecaspore poison, has definitely knocked him out good for a while. The poor man doesn't seem to be catching any breaks anytime soon, but she will make sure that you guys have your food and drink and that sort of thing. Geez, sorry. Before she returns to the chamber to attend to her husband. So the four of you sit at breakfast, perhaps quietly at first, considering what's happened the previous night and maybe chatting a little bit, when there is a distinct knock at the door. One of the guards opens it up, and there, And perhaps, Chansey, you would like to describe yourself as you stand in the doorway.
So you see human, dark brown hair, heterochromatic eyes, one green, one blue. Scarred up, but not like overtly damaged. Wearing what kind of armor do I actually have? Some kind of armor. Breastplate.
Yeah.
Shield, mace on my side, and a cloak. And you can see inside like a amulet hanging underneath the breastplate.
Yeah, and you know why you've been sent here, but for Chansey and for the character's perspective, as you guys sit at the table, and maybe also just nice to have a bit of a recap. Let's each of us describe ourselves. I'll do Turnok for him. But Tani, maybe you would like to start. What does Tani look like as she's sitting at the breakfast table?
Okay, she's a half orc, so she's tallish, muscular, greenish. Not as dirty as normal because she had to get ready for the clinical recently. She's back to her normal clothes, which is a sort of tabard looking thing like going over her pants, very loose. Very loose pants. Nothing special about her shoes, very lightweight. She does have some markings in her arms. One of them is like a black inky animal-y thing, which she acquired recently, but she also has some scarring, some tattooing, like orcish symbols that she could have picked up here and there. What else? Messy hair, really not as messy as before, because again, she had to get ready. But normally she doesn't tend to comb it. She prefers it being messy. She usually likes it away from her face, and not like I am right now with my hair in front of me, but always has it behind her back. And I think that's brownish eyes, nothing very special. Orcish fangs peeking through. Yep, that's it.
All right. So yeah, Tani, and despite the way that she's changed, it is also similar to what you recognize, Chansey. Next up, Jean-Jacques.
Sure, yeah. So Jean-Jacques half elf, kind of medium height, lean, but slightly muscular build, so toned. He's currently probably has a just a white simple shirt that's probably unbuttoned a little bit, and some dark pants, slippers or something on. He's a very handsome guy. Has slightly but very slightly pointed ears. There's some traces of elven heritage there, but it was very faint. His features are kind of angular and go between quite severe and kind of more exotic, I guess. Has aquamarine kind of green blue eyes. And blonde hair that's almost white, that he puts up in I didn't even try, this is just how my hair normally looks kind of hair that you instinctively know took him at least 15 minutes in the morning to put like that, but it looks effortless. And he's kind of looking at you with curiosity and tilted head.
All right. Barnack, how about you? Barnack, I don't hear you at the moment.
You do now.
Yes.
Yeah. So as the doors open in front of you, you see also a dwarf sitting down, currently holding his head in his hands. probably because he's hungover or something. Um, he has a bald head and a rather short silver beard, although it seems like he's trying to grow it longer, at least from what you see. His face features are distinctly. He seems like a nice grandpa, basically. But at the same time, as the doors open up, he stands up, and he's not a chubby dwarf at all. He's actually a muscular dwarf, although he is quite short. He has I actually forgot what he has. I think he has a leather armor on. He has leather armor on, and yeah, he's currently holding one glass, but it seems like water, which is very unfortunate for him, but it needs to be water. And distinctly, as you open the door, one of his eyes just moves. His left eye just moves a bit to the left.
All right.
Only his left eye, though.
And next to them, sitting, is also a dragonborn, a white dragonborn of, I would say, indeterminate age, just because the race is so different than anyone else here that it's probably harder to determine. But definitely white, very muscular in his own right, and very quite tall as well. Just kind of probably just leaning over and eating at his breakfast thoughtfully. I think Turnok's been pretty thoughtful so far. The most notable thing is that he has something akin to sort of dreadlocks, sort of part of him that sticks out and is bound together behind. And he probably wears already part of his quite heavy, I think, scale mail armor that he has, if I'm correct. But in any case, it's this blackish armor that is very, very well made. And he probably wears like part of it already, but just enough that he can still sit comfortably at the table without needing to, without needing to sit uncomfortably for most of the time. And all of them just kind of look up at you as you enter. And so, Chansey, you know why your character has been sent here, but the rest is up to you regarding introductions. I will say, Tani, as you look at the door, there is a familiar face. It's different. Years have painted themselves onto it just like they have with you, but it is a familiar face.
Myra? I sort of want to stand up. I'll recognize those eyes anywhere.
Hi. It's been very long.
I didn't think I'd see you. I haven't seen you in years. What are you doing here over at Lord Fennec's house?
Looking for you guys, actually.
Hello?
Okay. Come closer.
Hello?
Yeah, like still outside. I don't want to walk outside.
Hey,
Okay.
guys.
Are we getting arrested?
Oh, no. Maybe? No. No, definitely not. I'll probably pull out whatever piece of paper I have with my instructions.
Right. Yeah.
And go over them. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, definitely not arrested.
Yeah. In fact, you do have among those instructions, you find maybe just now because you maybe were a bit preoccupied with introductions and that sort of thing. You find official notice of your transfer into a particular group here.
I'll pull that out too.
Right.
I'll start handing it to Hani, not knowing who's group leader.
So by the way, Myra, you have been given inspiration thanks to the chat. So we are currently, I should have probably told you this sooner, but we have up to 3 points of inspiration that you can gather. And I'll explain more of the rules later, but feel free to add one. In any case, as she hands over this piece of paper, you see it is official freelancer paperwork, and it states that her name, Myra Irwood, has been transferred to the Ashen Hearts, pending approval of its leader, but with recommendations to join you, and with all due haste in light of the developments last night at the Equinical.
Is it from Taskmaster Silver?
Yes, it is.
No, bye.
I look at the paper and
Start crying.
Myra.
Okay, I know her. I know her. She's from my time when I visited Stormcrow over at Finn's. I knew her. Well, I know her. I know those eyes.
I was gonna send a message, but I didn't know what was going on. You know, the travel. I didn't want to waste any spell slots. You know how it is.
Okay. So we have to approve. Myra, would you kill an innocent person?
If they're innocent, no.
Fair
But
enough.
if they're
Good
guilty,
enough for me.
they should go to jail.
Excellent deduction skills, Barnack.
Thank you.
Real tough questions. Leading the witness.
Okay, let me try again. Myra, would you pee on a corpse?
Is there any other? No. Why? Why?
That's a bad answer there.
Turnock just looks perplexed at everything.
Now,
Is it
perhaps
on
Yeah.
fire and there's no water around? Like,
That's clever thinking, and that's thinking like me.
I don't know if that's a good thing.
Turnock is just shaking his head in the background like, no, it's not.
Okay. But yeah, if this is Jean-Jacques, Tarnok, Tani, this is from Taskmaster Silver. Myra, we kind of, I won't say lost, but we departed with a friend yesterday. And
that was worse, just as an FYI.
that is worse.
Did
How
you-
do I
did
say
you-
it? That's not worse.
Did you ask to join us because you've heard about us, or was it Taskmaster Silver?
Now I'm reading my notes.
I will say there's probably some level of flexibility there as well. So if you want to say, like, you know, that you pointed out that, hey, Tani's there, maybe I can join them.
Okay.
That is definitely viable.
Yeah. I'm just, like looking through my like contract stuff. Like even I don't remember. I made the suggestion. But you know, I guess they have the final decision. But
Like Jean-Jacques made a suggestion. That's good.
Now, if I may, glorious leader, Mara, would you mind telling us a little bit about what it is that you do? I think that will make it an easier decision for Barnack to be well informed.
I can say she's a fellow freelancer, even back then.
Okay.
Are you a freelancer from here, from Postizia, or from some other place?
reading all my stuff.
I'm
believe
giving you a
yes.
lot of notes. I'm also happy to clarify. But in this case, so your hometown is indeed here, the capital. But every freelancer, and I would probably Barnack also knows this. Every freelancer trains in Watchhold for a year.
So every freelancer.
Every freelancer trains in Watchhold. For a year.
Do I remember her at all?
No.
Okay.
Wasn't in your batch at least.
Mm-hmm.
And you're one of the latest batches, so she's probably been a freelancer a little longer than you guys.
That's. How long were you a freelancer?
No, and I know I have the notes for this. I just have to read it. Why there's so many notes?
Just to clarify for anyone watching, I gave her 3 pages full of information. So
3 pages? I thought it was like 4.
Or 4. I don't even remember. But it's a lot of information. It's not like, it's a lot of fluff. No, it's all information. So
I know, honey, like 2 to 3 years ago. So for close to 3 years.
2 to 3 years ago.
Yeah. It depends on how you want to count that time, based on the event that occurred in your background. So I leave that up to you.
I'll continue to count it.
Okay.
So like 3 years.
That just goes to shows we ask good questions.
Tani, can you please help our guest sit down, maybe bring some water? I just need to ask Jean-Jacques something. Nothing with you, Myra, of course. Just a moment.
Oh yes. I grab her, like, sort of. I hug her real fast, and then just grab her and well, grab her by the shoulders and guide her. And don't worry, they're nice people. They're gonna accept you.
They're asking a lot of questions.
Yeah, that's just our leader. That's how he is.
He's the leader?
Oh yeah. He's great. You'll get to know him. Yes.
He's great.
All right,
Aw,
so
Tani.
as Tani guides Myra to the table, Barnack, you have a moment to confer with Jean-Jacques quietly.
Jean-Jacques,
Hmm.
I would like to have her on our team, and it doesn't matter what she can do.
Okay.
She might be able to also help me with what I am, with answers that I'm searching for.
I see. You were thinking because she's been with the freelancers longer.
Yes,
Good.
I was
Good.
thinking.
I am quite surprised at that fact alone. So, in my wonderment, I am inclined to 100% agree with you based off of that fact alone.
But
Don't spoil it. Just
darn it.
ride the high. No, I'm kidding, of course. What did you want to say? Ha.
Nothing. That's enough for me then.
Okay.
I'll go put my signature down. I don't have a pen. I'll go ask Lady Rhaenyra for a pen. And
Okay.
I go actually into their room to ask for a pen.
Okay.
I just hold a pen behind him like, I got... Doesn't matter.
Right. But yeah, no, you can easily acquire the fountain pen and ink that would be commonly used here. And sign your name to the document that will officially make Myra one of the Ashenhearts. So it's all pretty easily done as Barnack emerges once again and places his signature. And with that, immediately, Myra, you have found your new place in a new group, which might feel a little strange, but they are currently having their breakfast. You can join them for it, and perhaps ask each other some more questions, I suppose. But I am especially interested in what the Ashenhearts plan to do next as well. So,
Well, I think we need to wait for Lord Fennec to wake up to do the what's it called? The bearing?
Debriefing?
Debriefing. That's right. We need to do that. And
Lady Elena suggested that we come by in the morning, so if Lord Fennec seems like he might not wake up anytime soon, I think we should go about our business and then return.
Good Becker, haversack.
that's
Right.
also true. The only thing is that I don't trust your cousin, and I don't trust that he will.
Whatever for, he's such a decent gentleman.
But you said he wasn't.
I know, it was sarcasm, Barnick. He's the worst.
I still can't get sarcasm. It's okay. Do you think he would attack Lord Fennec again right now after the Equinical?
What? I mean, I know.
Sorry, not him. Someone.
Right. I would doubt it. It's I think a little bit risky to do it right after, so soon, as it's still got the attention of the Black Hats on it.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't.
I don't think he'd be so obvious. He wouldn't be above doing so, but I
No,
was
it's not
thinking,
about above. It's just an unwise thing to do.
Yeah. He did ask us to ruin the image of Atticus Hope, and he could have asked us to ruin Lord Fennec Storm's image as well, now that he was at it, right?
That's also true.
Yes, but it's I think less with Lord Storm. It's less about his image, because if you think about it, the gentleman Atticus Hope, he received his appointment as a privilege. Lord Storm is a member of the assembly that's being assigned to a particular, let's say, committee, right? So it's less about, I guess, privilege and more about a job. He would have to be disparaged quite heavily and repeatedly for him to be
As you guys are
ejected from the
talking,
assembly.
a note is placed on the table by one of the guards, and he will quietly tell whoever's sitting closest this was just delivered by a messenger boy.
Okay.
And he leaves. The note has
If
been
I'm-
revealed in your handouts.
If I'm the one still sitting at the table, can I take it without
Probably you could be the first one to read it.
Yeah, definitely do.
So Myra ends up being the first one to take the note and read its contents out loud, I suppose, to the party.
I probably read it silently first, and then go, "Hey, you got a note," and then start reading it out loud.
Oh,
So yeah, go ahead and read it out loud for the stream as well.
okay. So I take the note. This is interesting. Allow me to read it word by word. You allowed me to live when we attacked you, so now I am repaying the favor. Argyle plans to burn down the Stormcrow Tavern tomorrow. If you want to stop him, he is in hiding at a warehouse in Cat's Eye along the southern wall. Tenebrin Lane, 3742. I don't know how long he'll be there. Good luck.
We spared his life, and that's what he wants to do?
I think this is one of the other people whom we spared. Oh, you mean no?
Yeah,
right.
I mean Argyle. Yeah. Oh,
Yeah. I mean, I told you he was going to do that. Something of that nature. It took how much? Is it 2 days? Was that 100%
Tomorrow
right?
morning.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. Quite accurate in my estimates of how quickly the judicial system moves when needed. Told you we should have killed him.
Well,
We thought you were gonna, actually, and we had a crisis. And then, for some reason, when we returned, he was still alive, so we never questioned you.
we never asked you why we did leave for that to happen specifically.
Well, doesn't matter either way now.
I will say that at this point, probably Turnock has a brief moment to interject just in this whole conversation happening in the first place, and he just kind of not really nonchalantly gestures for Myra, and he just goes like, maybe don't talk about the willing murder of people that you were planning in front of the new people that we have on board.
As he does this and looks at her, we're not killing her.
You just see it like,
No, we're not.
No, we're not, Turnok.
never mind. And
Myra probably like eating breakfast finally this morning is like half paying attention to this conversation. Like, who are you killing?
Not you. But then Turnock will probably also add. I'm adding this, but he will say to you, Myra, I'm really sorry. And then he just goes back to eating.
Oh, and we do have to tell her at some point what we're talking about. What happened. I trust her.
Danny, do you really trust her?
Well, I have good memories. I don't know what she's been up to, which we could ask her. And why am I talking after she's not here?
Yeah, why?
Is it strange that they're talking about you as if you're not
Yeah,
here?
I'm just like
Yeah.
staring in between, like,
They do this sometimes.
and he's the leader.
I am the leader. Yes. Sorry, I am the wise. I'm actually also a king and an ambassador. Just so you know.
Oh, wait.
Insight
Of a
check
ledge.
that.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Roll insight and Barnack rolled deception.
Well, it's more of persuasion, really, because he's convinced about it.
Nah, it's still deception.
I think it's +0 for me. If I'm right.
19 for me.
Nope, 17 for me.
Yeah, that's.
You know that I'm not an ambassador.
He seems
was
to
a lie.
believe it though, to a certain degree.
Okay.
Like there's a weird level of self, like lying to himself involved in the whole process. I would imagine.
Ledge King, or rather a king, though, I'm 100% sure that that's true. Some form of king.
Barnack.
So you plan on taking care of that threat to burn down an inn?
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, right.
We are not gonna
Shit.
let
Well,
Finn's tavern burn down. Please.
No.
Yeah, 'cause that would be really mean.
yeah,
And maybe Barnack would get to use his peeing on dead people if they're on fire there.
We're keeping this one.
now,
Welcome to the
if I-
team, Myra.
Yep.
And this time, Finn might say everything's okay, but no, please, let's help. I know you guys told me not to tell him everything, and I haven't. Just the important bits about me, but he's important to me, and the tavern's important to me.
I
And
place a hand on
he
on
likely protest. Maybe he'll say everything's fine, but no, this time it's not fine. Okay, I'm done.
Tani, you don't have to ask us. We're doing this for you, and for us, and for Finn. We are interjecting this time. Although I don't want to receive one of those Finn's actual knockout hits. He seemed to be pretty strong. So if we interject, I'll be a bit further away with my bow. If he charges me, it's on you, Tani.
Why would he? If anything, he'd charge Argyle if he shows up.
Well, true. We'll see, though.
I know you just joined. Did you just sign the paperwork? But I know Finn, and we have an address to where that person is. I could just let Finn know the tavern's in danger, and then we don't have to personally stop by at all.
And you have confidence that Finn could go and clear out this nest of thieves himself?
I mean, do thieves really want to be burned alive?
I mean, I do get a sense that Finn's more than he seems, but that's an awful lot of confidence.
Wait, but we are in the freaking capital of the Republic. Why don't we also go to and get a few guards?
Well, there's no real evidence to suggest that anything's going on. We just got
There's
a note
evidence
from...
that someone broke out of jail or was let out of jail.
Oh, I don't think that was unlawful.
They could be in on it even. We wouldn't
darn
know.
it. Oh.
I mean, at least giving them a heads up knowing the tavern's in danger.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No, I think that's a good idea, because I think
Yeah.
we could do one of two things here. We could either go and pay Argyle a visit, which I really would like tremendously, or we could go to the tavern and lay in wait and give him a pleasant surprise when he stops by.
That
Would he need to go inside to set the place ablaze?
Probably not.
If Cor
But-
was here, he would have summoned his mastiff.
please don't mention that dog.
I miss him already. Cor, I mean.
Yeah.
Well, the mastiff too.
All right. So, what is the plan gonna be here? How are you guys gonna tackle what comes next?
Well, we need to also go to Elena Sortenbrand's. And it's now. Right?
Yeah.
It's the morning.
Yeah, I just suggest that we do a whole how the tables have turned thing, where we attack him over there in the middle of the night and be like, haha, you're doing to you what you tried to do to us. Or we go to Finn and we set up over there and we defend the tavern.
I like the poetry in haha, we are doing to you what you did to us.
You don't try to teach us a lesson.
Wait,
That'll
Barnack, you
teach
like
you to
poetry?
teach us a lesson.
Sorry, what did you
What
say,
did
Mara?
you say, Myra?
I said, Barnack, you like poetry, and I'll pull out my poetry book.
I do. I sometimes.
This is gonna be good.
Do you write poetry?
No, I just read it. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Writing's
Well,
not very easy for me.
okay. Well, once we have time, I would like to read it.
Okay. And I'll just like show it back into my bag.
All right.
So Elena Sordenbrand
Okay.
first then to get her
Uh-huh.
stuff.
And I do like the idea of surprising Argyle and sending a note to Finn. Like,
Yeah,
we could
sending
do
a message
both.
to Finn now immediately would be a very good thing.
So let's start with that.
Yes. Myra,
Yes.
you said
what?
you have a way to contact Finn right now?
Yeah. I can do it right now. And I'll start
can-
casting sending.
Okay.
You can tell him where Argyle's hiding in case he wants
Pulling
to.
out the big guns.
No, don't tell him that where Argyle's where he is, because we want to surprise him in the night. We don't want Finn to go there before that. I really like that poetry.
Oh, that's true. That's true. See, he's a leader for a reason. Don't do that then.
All right.
Hey Finn, it's Myra. Been a while. Someone
Been a while.
plans to burn your tavern down soon.
Okay. That's where you want to leave it.
And I'll say
add
Ashenheart
tomorrow.
say hi.
Argyle.
to-
Argyle.
Argyle wants to burn it tomorrow.
Argyle, tomorrow, burn.
Okay.
I think I'm like out of words.
So you get to the ending and they're just interjecting stuff. So you're just trying like, Argyle, tomorrow, burn. You just get an emotion back first, which is confusion, from Finn, and then he goes, Myra, it's good to hear from you again. Thanks for the warning. Come by soon. And that's it. So you might even be a little surprised because you've probably not messaged Finn before. That he seems quite well versed in usage of the spell. Like he immediately recognizes his limited number, which suggests that he's not that he's used it before. All right, so Finn has been informed. I guess that's finished. Everyone gets negative inspiration. In the meantime,
finished.
from what I gathered, you guys had planned to set off for the cross for Lady Elena Sordenbrand's house, correct?
I guess we just check with Lady Rhaenyra if the Lord's not up, and if she thinks he's going to be a
still
while.
out.
Well,
You hear him in his sleep still kind of talking and like moving and thrashing through the door, and she confirms that he is not yet available.
So I'm going to storm out of the house and.
All right.
Storm out.
Very nice. I don't know why you're storming, because you have no reason to be angry. No, but that's
Angry
good.
at the world.
Okay, teenage Jean-Jacques.
Teenage angst.
So you guys set out, and it is still icy cold. The wind is still blowing in cold as well, and there is still a now frozen layer of snow in most places. So the streets are kind of caked with mostly just really dirty and broken up snow, in some places ice, but beyond that everything is still covered in this white blanket, that, you know, it's both beautiful but also terrifyingly cold. As you guys set out through the city, everyone is, has already woken up. The city starts early, and you make it easily enough to Lady Sordenbrand's mansion, or, well, not mansion, it's really more of a very tall sort of brownstone house, like they have in New York. And you're admitted by the same servant, in fact, that you had seen previously, Jean-Jacques, but this time with the whole party, and you are led to a study in which you find Lady Elena Sordenbrand, and you also find a red-skinned tiefling. At first, you might have a moment of concern, thinking it looks a little bit like Lord or like Robert Mortimer, but then he turns around and it's a much younger face, and it's definitely distinctly just tiefling, not any of the malformities that Mortimer has. And
Kenrath.
no. It looks like someone from the assembly as well. And in fact, it's a vaguely familiar face, as you've seen them last night as well. So for those of you who wish, you can make a history check to see if you can remember who it was.
It's wit quickly.
I hope it's with quickly.
16.
All right, 16.
2. Wait, history. 5.
5. All right. So Barnack, you have no idea. The rest of you don't remember. But Jean-Jacques, you remember. This is Red de Klerk. He is a member of the assembly and has his own important position. But you can see here that he is alone with the Lady Elena, and they seem to have been waiting for you. In some capacity. They interrupt their conversation when you arrive, obviously, so it's not like they were just waiting, but there's definitely a sort of conspiracy to meet with you in this fashion. And as you enter, you see immediately from Elena a look of concern as she notes that there's a new member among your group. And with a flick of her wrist, the door closes behind you, actually, and she looks all of you over, stands up, and Red actually goes over to the window nearby and just looks out over the street, keeps his back to you, and you can see even Elena has a sort of deference towards him. Not that he is very much higher in the order of things, but more that he is not familiar with the situation and he has a similar rank to hers. As she looks over all of you, she beckons you closer a little bit, and lowering her voice, she says, "Welcome. May I ask who your new companion is?"
Well, thank you, Lady Sortenbrand. As you know, we recently were devoid of one of our companions, and the company has sent us reinforcement. This is Myra. Okay. Point towards Myra, indicating that, she should.
Okay. Lady Elena kind of straightens up a bit, and she goes over to Myra, and she extends a hand to you. Do you take it?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'll shake her hand a little too forcefully.
Do you does Myra wear gloves?
She probably has the
okay.
bracers on, but
so you probably feel a surprisingly firm handshake coming back at you, but she holds your hand as well, even once you're done, after the perfunctory one or two. She holds onto it and she looks right into your eyes. She says, "Where are you from, Myra?"
I'm from the city. Edeah.
How long have you been a freelancer?
Almost 3 years. Most of that.
Should I have any reason to mistrust you?
I'd hope you wouldn't have a reason to mistrust me ever.
So then I can assume that, as these are proven, you will be faithful, loyal, and that I can trust that everything that goes on between us remains between us.
Yes.
Okay. Roll a persuasion check.
If I may, as they say,
Immediately as you go, if I may, the finger comes up, literally the finger, that finger comes out
I was so scared because it's a 15 because I get -1, but
Okay.
it was going to be a 6 and rolled. It went to a 16.
Okay, 16 is good.
So it's a 15 total.
All right, so she holds on, and there's just this good 10 seconds. She has the finger up for Tani. She just searches Myra's eyes, and then releases the hand, steps back, and acknowledging that Barnack is the leader here, she looks to him and she says, "Any other surprises?"
Not that I know of, no.
Good. Welcome, Myra. It is, I suppose, nice to meet you. You can see that she's kind of being formal, doesn't really mean it, as she doesn't like surprises in this case.
Nice to meet you as well.
In any case, thank you for the services that you rendered me last night. Your effects, and she points to the corner, and you see that the haversack is already laid out there for you to take, and to retrieve all of your magical items and things. And the gold is still at the Stormcrow Tavern, I believe.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
We only will have a few effects in the haversack. So she points to it. I'll go over. I'll reach in. I'll pull the bottle of gin out.
Mm-hmm.
And I look towards her and I, mind if I pour us a morning cup? They have a very kind of mysterious smile on my face. Seems totally out of place.
Her eyebrows go up and she seems surprised. She looks over at the man by the window, which you haven't seen her check for anyone else's input or approval before. So this is quite new. But then she nods to you and pays it no more mind.
So I'll go over to like a table where there are drinks or whatever,
Yeah, there's like a literal drink tray with several beautiful glasses laid out and stuff like that, and scotch, brandy, whiskey, that sort of thing.
Yeah, I'll pour it and then I'll just give it like a sniff and a once over to double check if there are any signs of any toxins or poisons.
Okay.
That I might.
I would say in that case, make an Arcana and a Nature check to check for magical and non-magical poisons.
Great, and green for nature, great for Arcana. Arcana is at 25. Nature is at 11.
Okay. You're very sure that there's nothing magically going on with the bottle. For the nature, you don't sniff any particular sense or any indications that the viscosity is fine. Like there's nothing wrong with this bottle of gin, as far as you can tell.
Yeah. So and I look over towards Mara, and she's you said, Chancy, she has like an amulet of some kind or a pendant of some kind.
Yeah, it's under her breastplate though.
So we don't see it.
Yes, but you can see like the obvious chain from it.
Yeah. Is there any like iconography or anything that indicates her, being a cleric?
Not overtly outside
Not
of.
overtly. Okay. All right. I look towards it and I just say then, does anybody have any means of detecting substances that are not meant to be? I procured this and I'm just curious. Like poison or...
I do.
I don't.
All right. I kind of over and I look towards that and I say, I actually procured this from the offices of... I hand it over to Barnack, so...
Mm-hmm.
He's just gonna drink it. Yep. I knew it.
Okay.
I just look at... I started speaking to Lady Ellen and then I look at him and I'm like...
Barnack, make a Constitution saving throw.
This is a way to check for poisons if you're in the presence of someone that's important.
You have advantage
what I
against
want.
poisons, right?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, so go ahead and make an advantage to Constitution saving throw.
Let me just check Constitution saving throw. That should be okay, right? Not really. Okay, +2. Still 19.
It's very good, very tasty stuff.
Do I detect any kick, poison?
No, nothing of the kind that you detect.
I don't really detect anything. It's very tasty though.
Gentlemen, can we get to the point? And you see Elena is kind of leaning back against her desk, half standing, half sitting. And she's impatient, clearly.
Yeah, so I look at her, as I was beginning to say, I procured this from the offices of one... what is her name again?
Vista.
Vista, right? Yeah. Vista Nendorius. This was a gift that was apparently sent by none other than Lord Bilmont.
She looks over to the window and she gets a look back from the clerk, who actually seems to be taking interest in this conversation. He turns around and she turns back to you. I see. Did you find out what this gift was in thanks for?
Well, with some amount of certainty, but please do keep in mind that this is more insightful thinking than it is 100% accurate based on evidence. But the reason why I took it in the first place is that I unfortunately made a slight slip when breaking into a secret chamber within her desk, so I had to cover my tracks a little bit. Within this compartment, I found several magical scrolls, which I believe would have some answers to our questions. Two of which were the spell suggestion, if you're familiar with it, one for the spell known as Mind Blank, and one for the spell known as Modify Memory. The final scroll that I found had traces of magical glyphs, but had been expended. This in and of itself was not sufficient for me to conclude my investigation, so I decided to cross the other two names off my list. And of the remaining two, only Belmont's office seemed to have more to tell. Within it, I found, and I kind of, actually, on the desk, alongside with this bottle of gin and several other items, I found a note that stated, "Thank you for the hard work, B." And when perusing Lord Belmont's office, I found documents that would, to me, indicate that this was his handwriting with a high degree of certainty. Not only that, but I also found several missives from yourself, but also one missive that indicated mistrust in your husband and questions about whether or not action was necessary to, what was it? It was like to neutralize him or to kind of get, was it so explicit?
It wasn't that explicit, no. It was just,
No.
Should we deal with him or not?
Should we deal with him or not? Yeah.
Okay.
And I also was able to see that you, my lady, were apparently on the list to be offered something. Or to participate in something.
She looks sideways
watch
again.
her really closely at this one.
She looks sideways again. I think without even needing an insight check, all of you can see that there is definite anger on her face at suspicions being confirmed. But more than that, she looks sideways. You see the clerk, and he moves forward. His face is impassive, but his voice is sort of curious. And he says to her, and to the group as well, Edeah, it sounds like you were right. They did move against him. You must have found out something. But you still don't know what it was. She just shakes her head. He turns to the group and he says, listen, I know that we are not familiar in the way that you are with Lady Sordenbrand, but I believe that there is opportunity here for us to work together more. It is my belief that there is a greater conspiracy within our government which must be uncovered for the good of all. And unfortunately, we have no reason to believe that our own intelligence services are not involved in this conspiracy. Thus, we must look outwardly for help. Now, Lady Sordenbrand assures me that you are reliable, and from what I have seen and heard so far, I can only trust her judgment in this. But know this. This is a task not like anything that you have worked on before, I believe, or anything that you will work on again. And if it proves that you uncover the truth, it may well topple our government. Are you ready to be involved in such an endeavor?
We'll look towards Barnack.
I'm still holding that rum, and I looked back
Gin.
towards you, Jean-Jacques, and uncovering the truth, getting bad people behind bars or where they belong. I think we've always been ready for that, but Jean-Jacques, how are you feeling about that last bit he said?
Well, I think that government is or a country is more than its government. When one topples, another takes its place, and it can only be better. Well, not only, but one can hope.
The clerk looks a little amused at those words. Not mockingly, but just that he has thoughts on the topic.
Yeah, I misspoke when I said only, so I was just like, well, let's try and salvage it.
That's good
But-
enough for me.
Yes, and we do have our own reasons to believe that there is a larger conspiracy behind something.
Indeed. Well, I would be curious to find out what makes you believe so. But I will not understate the dangers of what I am asking you to do. In essence, you are joining a conspiracy of its own. And for all intents and purposes, if we fail, we may all end up hanging for it. Not a one of us will be able to escape it if we are not successful in getting to our enemies before they get to us. And right now, we do not know who our enemies are or what they are planning. I will ask you to think on this. Lady Sordenbrand will be able to provide you with more information. I'm afraid I must be on my way, but I will learn if you have chosen to aid us, to stand on the side of everything that is at least truthful, if not good. And if so, then I'm sure that we will meet again. He looks at the two that have spoken the most so far, Jean-Jacques and Barnack, and he goes to extend a hand to each of you. I will say probably to Jean-Jacques first. And he shakes your hands. And he will pass by the others and just kind of look at each one of you in turn, really catching your eye and watching you closely before he nods and heads out the door. As soon as it slams shut, Elena, you can see her knuckles are white from holding on to the desk, and she just turns away towards the window, and actually she probably snatches the drink out of one of your hands, like if another drink was poured, she just snatches it up, and you just hear her, "Son of a bitch!" and she just takes a very big gulp from the gin that was just offered.
Really hope it's not poison.
Yeah, I take another. I'm
Because that's what I would do. I would poison her.
I'm constantly slowly drinking.
Well, we'll see. But yeah, she kind of turns around and she says, I don't know where to begin. But as Honorable the Clerk said, there is a conspiracy. And we believe it is connected to a proposal for a weapons project that was made during the war by Robert Mortimer. It's his return that has caused us to pick up this conversation again. So, I will fill you in. And as she begins talking, we fade to black. And we'll pick up next week with the next episode. As Lady Sordenbrand will fill you in on the details of this great conspiracy that she believes is present within the government of Postizia.
Oh shit!
So, welcome
It's a
properly now, Chansey and Myra. Welcome aboard. I know it's, as you are aware already, but I know it's a lot of information that always comes through, especially when you start out. So thank you for dealing with us in the way that you have. But I would like to say, I don't have necessarily a very long list of specific questions, but we usually talk after our sessions anyway, so I would like to do that now and just kind of discuss how you guys feel about the session, the closing of the Equinical core, leaving, Myra joining. So that's kind of really where I wanted to start with core. So last week, I mean, this is a prepared question, but last week you guys saw core arrested and kind of tried very quickly and in spite of, us understanding that this is also partially because Carlos couldn't continue to play, the in-world ramifications and reasons were very real. So how do your characters feel about that? And let's start with Milos. But how does Barnak feel about what he saw?
A bit angry. Barnak feels a bit angry and also a bit, confused as always, but he also, I don't think it hit him yet that being arrested means not seeing your friend. Like, at least he knows that Kor got arrested, but it just hasn't been real enough because it was just like a few hours and then one night of sleep and that's it. And then there were other things happening. So I think he'll realize it soon enough.
So he's still expecting Kor to kind of just show up.
Kinda, yeah.
Right.
Like that knock on the door for Barnak, that was Kor.
That is heartbreaking.
he might have been holding his head. Everyone thought it was from hangover, but it wasn't. It was basically there's no Kor.
Oh, okay.
Sad.
On the other hand, Tani, you and Barnak and Kor were, of course, the original 3 Ashen Hearts. How does Tani feel about losing Kor?
Despite me not being here in the last episode, I like to think that I was there during the whole discussion.
Yes.
And I'm trying. Well, I can't stop myself from thinking about Kor. That's why I brought up his Mastiff. That's why I briefly said, "Oh, I miss him." She's trying to tell herself, "We'll see him again. We'll see him again. This isn't the last time we'll see him. He's coming back. He's gonna be okay. He's gonna atone for his sins, but still, they're gonna realize that he's good at its core." Did I nail that?
Very nice. Very nice.
No,
The uncertainty on whether or not you nailed it really sealed it.
Yeah.
But yeah, she's thinking about him, and she's like, we'll see him again.
All
And
right.
if it's not soon, still we're gonna take care of his parents.
Okay.
And do that.
Okay. And Jean-Jacques?
Well, I think Jean-Jacques is a little bit of more of a cynic.
Mm-hmm.
So for Jean-Jacques, this is just, and I'll quote the illustrious Amos Burton in this one, and this is just the turn.
Okay.
For his past caught up with him. It's it's a shame Jean-Jacques liked Kor, but it's one of those things where he believes this was the end of the road for him. His past caught up, and it's just one of those things like you tried too hard, you tried too much, and now you're gonna go back and you're gonna get executed or something. He that's I think the way that his mind was going.
Yeah.
It's like, deal with it right now, put it aside, and just continue on, because this is what happens.
Yeah, that's fair. Okay.
Nicola's obviously different, but just
Yeah, no, of course. I mean, I asked about the characters. Yeah. Well, I mean, these things happen. But we'll see if the Ashen Hearts are at least presented the opportunity to do something about it. So I'm sure we'll find out more. In the meantime, we of course have a new character, and I just want to know, what is it like to join Chansey? Like, what are your impressions? What does it feel like? What stands out so far?
I'm excited. It's really hard to stay on mute the whole time when they're in the party finding information that like piques my notes, and I'm like, what?
Yeah. And what are you looking forward to the most? Or actually, did you watch any of the previous episodes by any chance?
I watched 6, 7, and part of 7.5.
Oh yeah. So were you particularly excited to meet any specific characters out of this group? Or to see anything particular happen?
I mean, all of them? Like, I'm excited to meet all of them. Just, like, this session alone, like, Barnak? I hate him and I love him at the same time.
I do too.
Who decided to make him the leader?
He did. That's
He
the
did.
thing. He did.
And we kind of went along with it.
Yeah, they all just
Yeah.
agreed he's the leader now.
Why are you
Yeah.
encouraging this behavior?
Okay, cool. And again, welcome aboard, of course. Question from the chat is for Kira. Tani doesn't often show her passion. Is she holding back, or does it take time to come to the surface?
That's a great question. And I was pondering for a while. Sometimes, how do I say it? In a world where it's a little bit confusing to her, some details here and there, a little bit about the politics, she doesn't quite master it like she sees Jean-Jacques or Charnock doing. In a world full of uncertainties, one thing she does, or she is certain about, is her friends and the people she knows about, and she tries to hold on to that because of her past, because she doesn't remember. So she remembers Finn, she remembers Myra, now that she was like, oh, I hadn't thought about Myra all these years, now she's back, oh yes, I know her, I trust her, and I trust these people too. And so question is she holding back, or does it take time to come to the surface? And I would answer, just as her ideas sometimes are brewing and come to the surface randomly sometimes, or she's pondering about one detail that might not be important, but she's like really puzzling over that because she really wants to understand, she does hold back. I feel like, especially during these political things, she knows that, okay, maybe she should stay quiet, she should behave, because maybe something she says will sound dumb, and she doesn't want to sound dumb, she wants to be smart. But whenever the topic of friends come up, her passions do flare up. Yes. So it is brewing, and it does flare up.
Okay. Very cool. Yeah, I mean, I think it's really interesting, I think also really cool just that we get to see more facets of all of our characters now that we have had some time, and also now that you guys have more information to kind of play off of. So I'm definitely interested in seeing more of that, and I'm also really curious to see how Tani deals with the rest of her past, especially, of course, now that Myra is here as well. I think it's becoming ever more interesting. I wanted to ask Barnack, did Barnack have any goal or plan in mind beyond take the notes that say the Scarlet Rose sends their regards, or
Yes.
was that the plan?
No, the plan in general, the plan was to get to suspicious people and somehow slip them a note, either by having a waiter bring them a drink and there's a note below the drink or something. But at the same time, that's a bit too clever for Barnack, like just thinking about that. So he was constantly thinking of how to give notes to suspicious people and not getting any proper ideas. And in the end, he was going to just grab a handful of them and just put them in random carriages and see what happens in the end. But there were no real carriages there, like that's why I asked you that.
Right.
The most important part was to give a few of those notes to people that we suspected of either having connections to Scarlet Rose, or doesn't matter, to have, let's say, an easier way to realize, well, to have an easier way to find out if they are actually connected or not.
Okay.
Because let's face it, most of these people know who Scarlet Rose, not like who Scarlet Rose is, but they know of Scarlet Rose.
Yeah.
And if I didn't have any connection to them, let's say I was there, I was a politician there, and I got a note that said Scarlet Rose sends their regards, I would be like, I'm out of here, or like, guards, please escort me home or something. So by doing that, I would know that they are not the ones, or rather I'm not the one that has any connections there.
Interesting.
So
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But Barnack couldn't actually think of a good plan to do that. So he was hoping someone more clever would help him, but everyone that's clever destroys those papers.
Okay. Fair enough. Does Barnack have any thoughts about maybe that means that the plan wasn't as good as he thought? Or does that not enter into his mind?
Oh no, there's no. The plan failed. He still has say 6 papers. He'll make more.
I felt like I had to ask, but I already knew the answer as well.
Yeah.
There was zero chance that there was any form of lesson learned.
Nope.
So let's do 2 more questions. So one from Simon. Question for Chansey. Barnack and Tani represent chaos, and Jean-Jacques / Turnock represent calm / authority. Which side do you think Myra will go?
Oh, I mean, just from you said, we were gonna be something nice. That I was an agent of chaos last night in the chat. Myra just wants to protect the people she's around, so she'll just follow whoever, and most likely end up with the chaos crew because they're gonna be the ones most likely getting in trouble that she's gonna need to protect.
Okay. So she's gonna sort of be their guardian angel to.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, she's gonna do the no, wait, stop. And watch it unfold.
Oh god, that's gonna be, the rest of the party is just gonna be like, Myra, can you watch over them? And then it's gonna be like, yeah, sure. And then everything
I'm
goes
gonna
to
be
shit.
the worst babysitter ever.
Does
They're
that
most
mean
likely gonna come back alive, but
Holy shit.
Probably.
Does that mean that Barnack and Tani will have more chances for chaos now?
Oh no.
Yes.
Oh yes.
I think at some point, Jean-Jacques and Turnock will have to either embrace it or find a way to stop it altogether.
Yeah.
And I had one more question, which is, to Jean-Jacques, what are his thoughts about what happened last week regarding Esme, especially? Because this week he kind of did the whole, passing through at least her eye line. And obviously, they haven't actually interacted directly. So what are his thoughts, both before and after everything that's happened?
He is, I think, most of all, very intrigued.
Okay.
Because I think from his memory, and we talked about this, it's been sort of like decades since the two of them were an item. I think he remembers her as this kind of haughty, I get everything that I want, spoiled girl.
Yeah, but also kind of innocent in a way, right? I think that's what we talked about.
Yeah. So he was very surprised seeing her in a situation where she seemed to be orchestrating this whole exchange between the Republic and
Did that change his view of her at all, or does it make him interested again in at least meeting her again?
I think it's definitely piqued his interest, because when he first heard about her from Turnock, he was probably like, "Oh fuck no, no, no," and then he saw her and he was like, "Huh, interesting." I wouldn't say that it's reached any levels of being romantically interested or anything like that right now, but it's definitely given her a different dimension than he was used to, and he's like, he would definitely like to have a conversation with her.
Okay.
Probably while her husband there, just
sure, just to be sure.
An honest conversation, yeah. But he's definitely just it piqued his interest a little bit, which is why he wanted to yo, what's up? I'm here, kind of thing. Not really, initiate anything, but just so you know, I'm here. Yeah. Okay. So if we run into each other, we can have a conversation.
Okay.
Which also means I'll be around somewhere that you frequent completely accidentally at some point.
As you do. All right. Very cool. So yeah, I think that concludes us for the week. Thank you guys so much for playing. For the stream, I'm going to go send a raid over to one of our Tabletop TV streamers, so please hang out if you can. We are going to do a little saying hello, and that is going to be the Roleplayers Guild, so please make sure to hang out and tell them that we sent you. That is /raid the Roleplayers Guild. But in the meantime, thank you guys so much for watching, and to my players, of course, for playing. And we'll see you next week with the next episode of Tales of Edeah. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Yeah.